Hey guys, how's it going? So today I think it'll be a bit of a shorter stream, but I wanted to go ahead and finish the Windblume event. We did end up doing a stream on Sunday, I believe it was, doing the Dia story quest and then the Farazan hangout event. I really did enjoy them. Unfortunately, we had some technical issues. I've been having some weird stuff going on with my OBS. I've been looking into it, but it pretty much just gave out on me. And I just ended up taking down what part of the VOD was there. I think it was, unfortunately, it was towards the end of the stream too. It was like the 4th or 5th ending of the Hangout. But I don't like leaving up streams and stuff like that that have issues like that. But overall, just like quick recap, I really enjoyed them. The Dia story quest kind of went over her past, how she came to be so connected with Dunyarzad's family. It really followed the theme. I was talking about it, how pretty much everything in the Genshin story quests do feel like they could be canon to the main story, but it's also usually things that don't directly affect anything to the point that they wouldn't be able to happen, if that makes sense, if you just did only the main story in an account. That being said though, really wholesome. I think they did do Dia really dirty though. She might be one of the characters that either gets an indirect buff later, or just maybe be one of the rare candidates for a direct buff. I think they did actually buff Zhongli way back when, if I'm remembering correctly. But what I mean by indirect buff is maybe some kind of synergy or something, or an artifact domain will come out later that'll help her out, because while she is a standard banner character, there were instances like Yaimiko being kind of bad, despite being another like fan favorite design. Her kit wasn't the greatest. I still pulled for her, but her kit wasn't the greatest, and then the aggravate / quicken Dendro reaction came out the next region, and she became one of a really good team. I think I run like Raiden Shogun, Nahida, Yai, and Dendro Traveler, and it actually works out really, really well. And with like the artifact domain, I think it was Zhao. Didn't get his artifact. I mean, he released in Liwa, and then got his specific. I don't know where it is because I don't have Zhao. Is this it? I don't think that's the one. But he got his like own quote unquote specific artifact set like way later. So it's very possible that something happens. That being said, while I think they gave us Noblesse Oblige, which is not the correct set to use on her. I think people are either using Tenacity or Crimson Witch. A C3 Trial Dia with her signature weapon at max level with maxed out artifacts, as they usually do with trials, did less damage with her entire ult while spam clicking, because that makes her attack faster, than my Yelan did with 1E. And like, my Yelan build is not completely optimized, but she is one of my more invested characters. She has 43k max HP, which I don't even think is that high. Crit rate's not the best, but crit damage is pretty decent. Like, she does have Aqua Simulacra after a long time of using Venti's bow, because I accidentally had that from like pulling Homa. But who knows. And then with the Farazan Hangout event, I just thought it was kind of wholesome. I didn't know much about the character. I think the Hangout events really endear me to characters. I think it would be really cool. I mentioned this, and I don't know how likely it is just because of the way Genshin works. With development time, I'm sure it takes a lot of resources. But with the exception of like the intro characters, we usually don't get story quests, like full-on story quests for 4-star characters, and we don't get Hangout events ever for 5-star characters. If that were ever a possibility down the road, I think that would be really cool. Just a thought. But aside from that, nothing really new going on with Genshin. The only thing I'm planning on wishing for the next couple patches is I'm really hoping we do get the Eulari Urn. I haven't seen if it was confirmed or if it did get delayed another patch, but she's the only one of my main team that I actually don't have a 5-star weapon for. I don't even have a 5-star Claymore. So I've thought about rolling on Song of Broken Pines for a while now. That being said though, I wanted to get back into the Windblume Festival. I've really enjoyed this quest. It's really cool to me, and I always talk about this, that they find ways to bring back characters, either bring us back to regions, or bring us back to older characters, or both. Because here we've had an event where like several of the Sumeria characters, who are more recent in the story, have traveled over to Mondstadt to see this festival. There's some kind of like riddle quest I know we saw. The first part of this is on the stream that I pulled Dea last Saturday, I think it is, towards the end, but generally speaking, and I saved a bunch of the events. As always, I don't think like the mini events, mini quests like in these events are the craziest, but I thought we could do some more. I really actually do like the music one, but we'll see.
Oh, Traveler, Paimon. I only just arrived myself, so I'm still getting ready. Ah, and Kale just passed by a moment ago. She said she had some things to sort out at the inn where she's staying, but she'll meet up with us when she's done.
Okay.
Apparently,
I thought they were
Tamara
staying in a
and
tent
Simon
on the
both went
beach.
out, but she stayed behind because she wanted to help us. Not too bad. After reviewing it again with fresh eyes, I came up with a new theory which seems to hold some water. I'll attempt to explain it as simply as I can. I believe that each of the 4 things in the prophecy
Please do,
refers
I'm
to
dumb.
a different field of knowledge. So, in a way, the prophecy is a test of the reader's intelligence.
Okay.
But it's unlikely for any one person to have expertise in all these different areas. So I suggest that we seek out one expert from each and get their opinion.
I know it's like
Also,
4 specific things I
in
want to
2
say
out
we
of
were
the
looking
4
for.
areas,
Yeah.
the prophecy seems to want us to find specific people. It may even turn out that the people themselves are the answers.
Well, this is what I was saying during the first event, is the only one I could think of at the top of my head was like the guide that never get lost. I did assume that was probably Amber, all things considered, but I had no idea on the other 3.
It sounds like we should put our heads together and list out the people who can help
Does Amber get lost? I
Exactly.
can't remember.
I think we can go through each riddle in turn and generate 4 groups of names to match the 4 questions.
Alright, then let's start from group 1. The
A
first
flower that is
riddle
not of
was,
this world.
A flower that is not of this world.
I think they mentioned that could maybe be like Lumine, but...
I would still go with Albedo for this one. Alchemy is the most likely to have to do with otherworldly things, and he is by far the leading expert in this regard.
And we still don't know if it's going to be like some are objects, some are people. But Albedo, does he count? Like, it's difficult when they say not of this world, because in my mind, I only think of the travelers. But
Exactly.
that might
You're
just
the
be me.
creator of the tetratanic sweet flower.
Oh, they did talk about like an
Maybe
artificial
that's the
flower as well.
we're looking for.
Who knows?
You really think so?
Oh, but what about Tainari? He's a forest watcher and knows all about plants. If it's a flower we're looking for, maybe he's the man for the job.
Yeah, it could be.
Alright, I'll add him to the list as well. On to group 2. This subject is...
I mean, that
guy
literally just
who'll
makes me
never
think of
get
Amber.
lost.
Maybe someone from the Adventurers Guild, but
That's kind of abstract.
probably Amber.
Does it just mean someone who never loses their way?
Wait, but they have to be able to guide others too.
Oh,
So it's not quite as simple as that.
I hadn't even considered that. This was the only one that I was like, oh, surely. But it could be Mona, too.
Oh, you mean Mona?
Because she is in
Yeah,
Mondstadt.
she definitely count.
Mona.
I still wonder if we're
Yes.
ever going to get her
She
master as a playable
certainly seems
character.
very confident, and she can use her astrology to guide
Because,
people.
I think by this point it's pretty well known. I don't know if the official announcement goes out, but I know they've mentioned, like, Baiju's coming soon. And so is, Kave, I believe his name is Alhaitham's roommate. I'm just at the point where Dendra for me is one of the elements. Part of the reason I'm not planning on pulling on them is I actually do kind of like those characters. I thought about pulling on Alhaitham, but Dendro for me doesn't seem like the element that I'm... Like, I don't use Tainari. I don't feel like I'm going to use as a main DPS, if that makes sense. I've had this feeling with Geo, I've had this feeling with Animo. I know there are main DPS characters for those elements like Ito and Zhao, but certain elements to me just feel better to play as like a main or sub DPS. I don't know quite what it is, but
Would Benny
it's probably
count?
just me.
Well, his luck's so bad that as long as you go in the opposite direction from him,
Alright,
always be
that's a
going
little
the
bit
right
mean.
way, right?
That's
Hmm.
a little bit
I
uncalled
see.
for.
I suppose I can't argue with that logic.
No, you can argue with that. It's
Finally,
bad
I'm almost
logic.
along, so one extra person won't hurt.
I guess Paimon is our travel guide, but
Outrider
she gets
Amber
lost
be
a lot.
valid candidate
See?
for this category
That's what
as
I was
well?
talking about. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
she would. She's got a great sense of direction.
They're doing
as
Amber a
well.
little dirty
As
that she's like the
matter of
fourth
fact,
person
when
they thought of.
Traveler and Paimon first came to Mondstadt, she was actually the one who gave us directions.
Yes.
She's the first character we
She's
meet.
certainly a good guide.
Is there anyone else?
Let me think. Yes, I believe there may be one more. Albedo once made a set of equipment for Mika from the reconnaissance company.
Oh, okay. Is Mika even
He's their
in?
surveyor, and an
I know
exceptional
Mika's releasing soon
pathfinder.
too as a 4-star. Is he still in Mondstadt?
He's even instructed others in the discipline of surveying before. So, in my view,
Could be.
he's highly unlikely to lose
I didn't
his
consider
way,
him because I thought
and would
after
be
we
very
met him
good at
last
helping others
festival,
find theirs.
I think it was Windtrace,
Another
he...
one for our list.
I thought he left.
Wait, Kale should have been here by now.
Hmm.
Wonder what's taking her so long. sorry. Could we continue our chat somewhere else?
Oh, you wanna go see how she's doing, right? Sure, let's all go.
But here we go, part 2. These quests aren't like super lengthy, but I've appreciated like with the amount of development time. I think people always look over things like that with any game. Like the fact that we get such in-depth story quests, even if they're not as long as say a character quest most of the time, for an event that isn't going to come back, at least not in the exact same capacity. Like these exact events won't happen next Windblume. I think is really cool. But that might just be me. I've looked into like learning programming and stuff, and it's really complicated.
Is everything okay?
Sucrose! I was preparing some stuff. Is it time already? Oh no, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Don't worry. The Traveler and I only just met up. We were just worried that you might get lost along the way, so we thought that we'd come get you.
Thank you. I'm ready to join you now. How's that thing going?
So let's pick up where we left off.
Next up is the
Third one. One who would never lie.
Never lie.
Would
Anyone
D-Luke lie?
spring to mind?
I mean, D-Luke effectively, indirectly lies to everyone by having an entirely false identity, but that might just be me.
You really think so?
Yeah.
Seems like it would be pretty difficult for someone
Yeah.
in this position to avoid
Let's not
having to lie.
oust him, but yeah.
Then what about Kaya? He's the cavalry.
Kaya
captain, a regular popular
100%
figure
tells a
of
lot of
ours.
half-truths, which is
There's
also
something fishy about him too, huh?
yeah. What?
Yeah, he's definitely
Why would you
a
name
sneaky
these two?
one.
I can't think
Bet
of
he
anyone to be
lies all
fair,
the
but
time.
still.
I can't help but agree with you there. There's the tone deaf line.
Yeah.
But on second thought, he wouldn't qualify either.
Somebody never
He
lies.
talks way too much
I would think someone
nonsense.
on like the straight and narrow, like Jean,
Is there anyone else?
maybe Lisa. Well,
Acting Grandmaster Jean?
yeah.
She has a good name in that regard.
Oh, I guess she does, huh?
From what I know, she sometimes covers up the truth
I assume
out of
they're going to be
concern for
playable
those
characters
around
that
her.
they're mentioning, not like
For
NPCs. No.
When Lisa loses track of time in the library and misses her patrol shift,
Oh,
Jean will come up with some excuse. Like, Lisa's ill today. Also, she sometimes makes up stories to get Claire to behave.
I don't know if that's really
Like the one
lying.
about the big monster that
When
comes to
you're
catch
telling a
naughty
kid a
kids who
story.
Don't go to bed on time.
It's not exactly the same thing.
Do you think that rules her out?
To be fair, Klee doesn't really lie, does she?
Lies are still lies.
That or it's just easy to see through it.
Do we really have to reject her because of some harmless fibs?
Hmm.
It's not like she had evil intentions. No, we're the ones being strict.
Rosaria doesn't strike me as the type of person to lie.
She's more
Oh,
sneaky,
Kale,
mischievous
you
than a
probably
liar.
haven't met her yet, have you? She's a sister from the church who looks,
What gives
a
you that
little
impression?
scary and not very sociable.
To be fair, I like Rosaria a lot. But if you saw her on the street, assuming your first thought wasn't like, oh, it's a cosplayer, you probably wouldn't go approach her. You know, it's probably not the first thing you'd do.
She
Might
stopped
just
by
be
the
me, though.
alchemy bench once, a long time ago, and asked me about Albedo. I thought maybe she was trying to find him for work or
Oh,
something.
way back when, yeah.
But
Dragon
when
Spine.
I asked, she just said that she was curious about him because he was so intelligent.
That was a
and
lie.
wanted to talk to his
Yeah.
assistant to find out what he was
She
like.
thought he was suspicious.
A lot of people might have given a more tactful justification, but I could see in her face that she wasn't trying to hide anything. She was just.
Well,
very
maybe she
polite
does
and
think she's
straightforward.
intelligent, but that wasn't the reason
That's
why.
I don't think of her as the lying type.
Really?
Rosaria doesn't look like the sort of person you'd want to get into a fight with. Maybe she just fights her way out of situations that some people might lie to get out of.
Maybe.
I can definitely see that. I've also heard the other sisters say that Rosaria
She-
doesn't even make excuses when she skips choir.
It's part of the reason I like her.
She just doesn't show up.
She's a tough cookie.
Gives
huh?
Barbara a headache, but oh, I guess Barbara probably doesn't lie either,
In
to be
that
honest.
case,
But
I think Sino fits
Still
in
funny.
this list too.
good old Sino.
True. Lying's probably more trouble than it's worth for
Sino's
someone
ended
who
up being
can't-
one of my favorite characters, though. So funny.
Oh, and Paimon also nominates Razor. Bet he couldn't lie to save his life.
Yeah. But part of the reason I like Sino so much is, like, despite the fact that I've mentioned, like, there's that big, like, Myers-Briggs test. I'm an INTJ, which usually aligns with, from what I've seen, is it aligns with Albedo and Shogun. Or A, not the Shogun. But the way Sino acts is pretty much reminiscent of how much I annoy my friends in my Discord. Just because puns to me are just the funniest thing. And it's so funny when you're not on the receiving, and it makes my friends so angry. It's so funny.
I've also got someone else in mind. Noelle, the trainee knight. She's a
Oh,
very
that's true,
honest
too.
person. I don't think
They're
she'd
coming
tell
up
a
with
lie.
all these people, too, that I hadn't even thought of. Especially when you consider, like, less than a quarter,
Wait,
maybe a quarter of the units
there's
we
one
know
more
are
person.
from Mondstadt.
You know, our long-standing staffer at the
Oh,
alchemy bench.
okay, so they might go with NPCs.
You mean Timaeus?
You mean the body blocker of the alchemy bench?
Yes, him. Truth be told, he's been love-struck recently.
Oh?
He swore that he wouldn't say a dishonest word or slack off until he succeeds in getting the woman he loves.
It's like a New Year's resolution you break after a month.
Yes, that's right.
Well, who is it? Do you know her?
I've never met her. All I know is that she's
Oh,
from
okay.
Liyue. Timaeus says that she's fun, has a great personality, and is very, very good looking.
That's a tough one. Because if we're assuming that it's a playable character from Liyue, that, like, fun, great personality, from, like, an outside view, I'd say Hu Tao, but I think inside the world of Tvat, that's not generally how she's perceived. That doesn't remind me of anyone from the is it Milith? I can never remember the names of the organizations. Anyone from the Qixing. It's probably not an Adeptus. Maybe Beidou? But why would he have met Beidou? I have no idea.
Since we're on the topic, helping Timaeus win the lady of his dreams was also one of my goals for
Yeah, I
this
actually have no
Windblume
idea who they're
festival.
talking about. It could be an
But
NPC.
how can we help with that?
I don't know. Make sure he uses nice paper and a
Unless
fancy
from
envelope when
Liyue
he
does
sends
refer to
letters her.
Mona. That's also possible, I
Help him
guess.
pick a nice gift and wrap it properly. That sort of thing.
Yeah. I had the same situation
Actually,
once
Mona
with
would
the
make
Avidia
sense too,
Forest.
because...
I helped another forest ranger out by delivering a love
Who knows?
letter to the coworker she likes.
What are you gonna do? Tell Kale
that sort of
no
thing
from a
exactly.
letter?
Oh, also,
Even if you
I
didn't
helped
want
him
to
with
receive
some
it.
of the groundwork for one of his research projects. He must have appreciated it because he gave me a refrigeration device that he's been developing as a thank you gift.
Okay.
Is it any good?
I mean, it looks nice.
Yeah, that's...
Sounds like a no.
Yeah. It's pretty funny.
Alright, guess we'll put Loverboy down on the list then.
I mean, now that they've mentioned it, it has
so
to do
last of
something
all,
with the story.
We have a
But
legend
still.
that never ends. Anyone come to mind for this particular line?
I'd say the Animo Archon, but most people don't know that he's the Animo Archon.
Understands books best, and aren't most legends written down somewhere?
That's possible.
When I think
We still
about
know there's a
legends,
crazy amount of stuff behind
fairy
Lisa
tales
too.
and
The fact that
picture
she has
books come to
like
mind.
less than half her lifespan left and such.
Maybe
And she's
Kyle.
very powerful.
She read a lot of fairy tales when Tainari was teaching her to read. Oh, do I count?
Yeah, sure, you're in Mondstadt.
Of course you do. I'll put you on the list. I prefer to read things like an illustrated analysis of alchemical substances and their uses.
The problem for me is so
The
many of these
fascinating
categories kind of
principles of
overlap.
crafting,
They talked
and
about like Albedo in an
hypotheses of
earlier
life.
category. I could see him being in a legend that it never ends, because he's not
Paimon didn't quite
strictly
understand
human.
those.
Maybe Dvalin, but
Klee might be
I
a good
doubt that's
choice.
it.
Her mother,
That
Alice,
is also
a
possible.
renowned
I thought
traveling
Klee was
author,
for the Never Lies,
so I'll
though.
bet she's been exposed to all sorts of myths and legends.
I wonder when we're finally just gonna meet Alice. I mean, we're going to our 5th region here in a few patches.
Well, that should just about do it. Next up, we should go and ask the people
Although I
on
guess
the
we also
list
haven't
about
met
the prophecy.
Varka. Oh.
Do we have to ask
There's that.
absolutely everyone on the list? It seems like a lot of people.
There's like maybe 10 people?
It is.
10, 12?
So, I was thinking that perhaps we should split up. That might make our search more effective.
Yeah, we could.
Okey-dokey.
Also, I've thought of a method of gathering feedback.
We can do that.
Method of gathering.
You and the Traveler are practically joined at the hip, so you two
Okay.
can go together. I'll pair up with Kale.
Capable Kale and sensible Sucrose. Sounds like a winning combination.
Yeah, they'll be fine, and they
Okay.
seem to be warming up to each other.
This'll help. Capable Kale. Yeah, I got this. Rest assured that the unbeatable Traveler and Paimon will do our part too. Off we go.
Oh.
I plan on starting from the person with the most defined stronghold.
Okay, do we get to follow
So
those two as well?
let's go to the library.
I was wondering.
Lisa should be there.
Stronghold. That's an interesting
It's
word to
probably
use.
good that we send her towards some of the characters that Colleen knows.
Maybe Den?
Den's probably not a
That's
good,
even
yeah.
worse.
That's not a good one.
How about
Are you... It's like a sleeping dragon. Oh yeah, go figure. I actually really like this. Even if it's most likely not going to involve like combat or anything, actually giving us the perspective of a different character, really cool stuff.
Here we are. Lisa's lair.
I wouldn't let her catch her calling that.
That was a bad word choice. Sucrose is
It's
using
fine.
It's all my fault.
She suggested Den.
Might I ask?
Like,
Huh?
well, so much for it being the most defined stronghold. Are they still talking about the TCG? I've actually played DCG more often in this game, and I actually enjoy it.
Kale, what are you doing here?
Recently got like Eula and a few other characters.
I can only suppose that they were Kale-ing on someone. At least that's as far as I know.
Please, just stop it with these puns. I beg
What do you mean it's hilarious?
Are you trying to win worldwide fame for unfunny jokes?
That is basically the reaction I get though, but it is funny. Humor is subjective or objective, one of the two.
Surprising, isn't it?
I think it's
She went out.
subjective.
I'm afraid it's just us here looking for information.
I mean, she went to
Except me.
Sumeru a little bit ago.
I'm not here for information. Like you, I came here for an
Oh.
abortive search for the librarian, who is also my academia senior.
Yeah,
Oh.
that makes sense, huh?
So you studied in the same darshan as Lisa?
Did we ever find out what darshan she was
Her
in?
mentor in Sumeru was also my benefactor.
Spontamod.
We were both Spontamod students.
Because during the
Wow.
Oh, wait a
That's
sec.
cool.
I meant to stop that
But
in time.
wait, we're getting sidetracked.
Hmm.
We came here to look for some information. Kale and I are investigating a prophecy, and we were hoping you all might be able to help.
Yeah, I can't remember the names of all 5 Darshans, or 6, or however many there are. I can't even remember how many there are, apparently. But during the Faruzan Hangout event, we did find out some of the technicalities. For example, the one she was in, I believe, was studying, like, language. Like, ancient language and such. But one of the Darshans trying to recruit her, since she was, like, a pioneer of this type of discovery from, like, on ancient mechanisms 100 years ago, was a little bit more in that realm of thought. So it's just interesting. It's like having different... I don't know how to explain. It's not like, say, houses in Harry Potter. I wouldn't say. It was more just like, this is like the engineering class. Say, this would be like the English, like college schools, right? Usually you have buildings at a university for, like, different subjects. That's more the way I kind of see the Darshans. I could be wrong, but that's kind of
What
my
sort of
interpretation on it.
I see. You want to ask them about the flower that is not of this world, and me about the one who would never lie.
Yes, Sino is very
no rush.
truthful.
You don't need to answer right away. We're just here to
One of
tell you
those, this
about the
entire thing
situation.
seems like it was made for
You
Kale,
can
which
take your time
makes
and
it not
think
out of the
over
realm
and
that
submit any thoughts you have in written form to
either
the
of those
Sucrose
two could be
mailbox.
part of it.
The sucrose mailbox?
Oh.
Yep. I was thinking about it on the way. And although they seem like trick questions,
Okay.
there's a lot to mull over once you get down to the details. A quick answer off the top of your head might not go into enough depth. So, I decided to place a mailbox next to the alchemy crafting table. Everyone can submit their written answers there when they're ready. We don't have to call it the Sucrose mailbox, though. It could just as well be called the Sucrose and Kale mailbox. Or even the Sucrose, Kale, Traveler, and Paimon mailbox.
I think in this case, we can just go with your quick answer off the top of your head.
Sounds like a good solution. Certainly more reliable than verbal discussion alone.
There we go.
Agreed.
Positive
Certainly
reinforcement.
when it comes to discerning whether someone is a liar or not, you cannot simply take them at their word.
Yeah.
Understood. Once we've had a look into it, we'll place our
I'm
replies
not a
into your
liar.
mailbox.
It's exactly
Thank
something
you
a
all
liar
so
would say.
much. Okay, let's tick them off the list and carry on working our way down.
Hmm.
Already done.
Well, if Lisa's gone. I'd assume the next person they were gonna look for is probably Jean, because
I'm
she's right
pleasantly
across the hall.
surprised to see those two
but-
introverts getting along so well.
Do you get the
I'm not.
feeling that Kale's return to Mondstadt has emboldened her more contrarian side?
Yes, I'd noticed that too.
Traveling and meeting old friends are both good for the body and soul.
Yeah.
And isn't rediscovering one's youth while revisiting old haunts a worthwhile pursuit?
When I first met Kale, she'd never known happiness
Yeah.
or youth, but things are different now. Her Elazar being cured was a huge milestone in her life.
Kale is a very sensitive and introverted child. I'm sure you must have noticed that too, Albedo.
Hmm.
From the time she's been in my
Did she meet
care,
I can't
I've
remember.
observed that she's
It's been a
actually
long time
very
since I've read the
lively
manga.
character by nature, but she had a very rough start in life,
Yeah.
and it changed her.
So, might
'Cause I know she
assume that
met,
your respective claims of
like, Lisa,
looking
Amber,
for
Kai,
plants and
Jean.
artists in Mondstadt were just pretexts?
I wouldn't say that. Both Kale and Genius
Yeah,
and
they're
Vocation
practically
TCG
on
are
the
very
same
important to
level.
me.
Would it really kill you to just say yes in this situation?
Fine. Yes.
Yeah.
We came out of concern for Kale. She's been back to Mondstadt of her own accord several times, but it has led to no significant improvement in her mood.
Well, it won't hurt to give her some more time. I believe that Sucrose might be able to help her.
There's a full-on festival going on. It's kind of hard to be
Sounds
sad
like an
at a
extension of your
festival.
own self-confidence as her teacher.
You could say that. In a similar vein, I've heard that Sumeru scholars often build their social relationships based on their academic ones. Is that true?
I suppose it might look like that from your perspective. Sumeru society is something of a special case. The reason it is known as the City of Learning is because all of its resources are in some way linked to academia. As such, academic resources equate to social capital. It is not unheard of, for example, for people to build a family in order to pursue further studies. But the relationship between the three of us is not an academic one turned social. We've never even worked on a paper together for starters.
Oh. Well, I thought...
Oh, so
never mind.
the academic paper is the nexus of the academic family. Interesting.
I would
Sounds
think
like
of us
something that
more
would
as
suit
siblings.
Albedo, but
An
maybe.
equal and pure relationship, unaffected by academic considerations.
As much as I'd prefer not to admit it,
That's really wholesome,
that
though.
statement is not inaccurate.
I can understand that position. I have a younger sister myself, and it's only natural for me to be protective of her.
Especially
What you
since Alice would
described fits
probably
the idea of a
just
city of
demolish you
learning,
if anything
as I
happened to
imagine it.
Klee.
The family is
Might
where
just be
all
me.
social relationships intersect.
Hmm.
As such, a family founded on common goals may actually be more stable. By the way,
Hmm.
who's the eldest between you?
Let's not go down this rabbit hole, please.
Really?
In terms of age, I'm the
Yeah, I was
eldest,
gonna
of
say, I would
course.
assume it's
He just doesn't
Sino.
want to admit it.
But your mental age is younger than that. I dare say even by enough to be the youngest.
That's the most, like, middle or
Perhaps I could
youngest
bring
sibling thing
Kale
I
into
could
this
say.
happy family to
Who
be
cares
your
if you're
older
older?
sister.
Your mental age is terrible, you're so
You will
mature.
never see me admit to being the youngest sibling. Except perhaps as a last-ditch effort to turn the tables in a game of cards.
The absolute lack of shame. Okay, so now we're
Guess we'll
going back
leave
to
Kale
us.
and Sucrose to it. Fingers crossed all goes well for them. Now then, where should we go first?
So they were
Let's have a look at the
given...
bulletin board, shall we?
Okay,
A lot of people tend to show up there at some point in the day. Maybe we'll get lucky.
but my understanding, they either gave both groups a certain number of people to look for, or they gave them 2 of the categories. Because, like, right now, Lisa's part of the legend, right? And then Jean, I mean, if they're already there, we're, like, the person who never tells a lie. As well as Sino, what, right? So, we either got the other category or just a grouping of people. Good old bulletin board. I always forget that this is even here, because we don't ever actually need to go see it. That's where Lisa went.
Nice! Just as we hoped! There's a load of people here!
Oh, and Mika is still in Mondstadt.
Even Lisa's here!
Yeah, they really are vague about what exactly the expedition in the north is, because if they needed to take Mika with them as a member of the reconnaissance company, why just send him back and no one else, you know? And, well, maybe he's being sent back and forth as like a liaison, that kind of, I thought maybe was the case. He sent back a letter the first time we met him, but I don't know.
Hey there, Traveler in Paimon. It's been a while. How have you been?
Oh, just dandy.
I've been doing pretty well.
You look surprised, cuties. Is it because of me?
Yeah, we thought you were gonna be in your lair.
Teacher is not at the usual place.
Oh, please. It's not as if I'm glued to my chair. I like to get out for a little fresh air every once in a while.
You gotta hunt down people who
Mika's
haven't
here
returned to
today,
library
so I thought
books.
it'd be a good time to introduce him to Bennett and Razor. They're all out and about quite often, so it's helpful for them to get to know one another.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mika. I look forward to working with you.
No need to
Yeah.
be so formal. We've known them for ages. They're cool.
Windblume. Fun?
Actually, we haven't gotten to the fun part yet. We've been busy investigating a prophecy.
A prophecy? What kind?
A good one or a bad one?
Probably a good one. Minus the fact that Collie's probably gonna realize
that
it's
all
not
sounds
gonna give her a
quite
different
fascinating.
personality, but
I can't believe
know.
I made it onto your list of names. You really think I'll be able to help?
yeah, sure.
Believe in yourself. Right. Believe in yourself. You're a first-rate adventurer, Bennett.
And you have one of the most
Okay,
broken verses in the
case,
game, so
I'll
there's
step up
that.
and present my thoughts on the matter. Except I forgot I'm not really good at organizing my thoughts. Oops.
Oh, there's no need to tell us all of your thoughts right here and now.
Hmm.
Sucro said she'll put a mailbox next to the crafting bench, so you can just write down your thoughts.
Bennett's
when they
gonna
come.
put his letter in the
And keep it
mailbox,
there.
and the mailbox is going to
Meticulous and
explode.
efficient plan. Yep, that sounds like sucrose.
Poor dude.
I will think also. Give me some time.
You still have other people on your list that you need to go see, right?
Hmm.
We should leave you to it. Don't worry about us. We'll drop off our letters at the mailbox as soon as we're done.
Cool.
Bye for now.
Thanks.
Let's head over to Star Snatch Cliff next. Maybe we'll be able to find some people there. And even if we don't find any familiar faces, you can see really far from up at the top. Maybe we can find people
That-
that way.
Is
Oh, you're working so hard. Do be sure to get some rest when you can. If you get tired, you know you're always welcome to visit me for a break and a cup of tea.
Thanks, Lisa. I'm not much of a tea drinker, but it's offered to me, you know. Oh, back to Kale and
Where to
Sucrose.
next? Let me check my notes. Huh, this way.
Got it. Kale, please follow me.
Alright. Matches the prophecy. I have no idea who could even possibly be. I wonder if we left the area, if we could just actually get ourselves stuck with two trial characters. That seems like the type of thing they'd have thought out, but could you imagine if just until we actually completed this, we were stuck like that? Oh, that's a bit of a weird pairing. Eula and Amber are definitely always together, but you don't see Klee interact a whole lot with Eula. Amber has a voice line about her, and so does Klee. Like, Klee says something about, like, Baron Bunny being super cool because it explodes. Amber says, like, she's a cute, cheeky kid. I'm trying to remember if Klee has any voice. I don't have Klee. Any voice lines about Noelle. Back and forth. But I don't think these two have voice lines about each other. But it's interesting.
Oh, it's our lucky day. There's several people over there.
Yeah, it's crazy. Because when there's not an event or
Eula's with her
something
too.
here, you can't even find one of them.
Oh, it's Sucrose! And Klee also spies. The girl with
Kale, we were just talking about you. Ah, right. I don't think you've been introduced to Noelle before. Kale,
Has she
this
met
is
Klee
Noelle,
before then?
Maid of the Knights of Favonius.
Nice to meet you, Kale. I missed you the last few times you were in Mondstadt, so I'm glad to finally meet you in person.
Oh, nice to meet you too, Noelle. My name is Kale. But you already knew that.
Relax, you two.
It's fun interactions.
There's no need to be
Good
so
way to
curious.
introduce yourself.
We're not on some kind of diplomatic mission here.
Klee, what are you doing here? Are you planning to blast some fish?
Nope. Klee's
Yeah.
on patrol with the other knights.
Oh, did they let Noelle go on patrol finally too?
Now that you mention it, it looks like everyone here is a Knight of Favonius except for Kale and me.
I'd heard that there was a very young knight in the ranks, but it's still a surprise to see with my own eyes. Kale,
Oh, just
what
watch her
do
blow up a
you do?
ruin guard. It'll be great.
I'm a trainee forest ranger in the Avidia Forest.
Be much less surprising then.
Trainee? It means I'm not officially a fully qualified forest watcher yet. I'm still learning.
Oh, you're just like me. I'm still working towards becoming a fully qualified knight.
Technically, though the distinction is hardly relevant right now. This isn't a very formal patrol. We're just
Oh.
chatting.
Don't panic.
Just slacking off. Don't worry, we're on patrol.
Enjoy the conversation. Don't panic. Whatever you do, don't panic. It's just Amber and her friends. There's no need to be nervous.
This is a super real thing though.
Let me guess.
I think
Were you
like,
chatting about
with
the new
social
guests
anxiety,
in town?
that's
Yep.
yeah,
A
that
few
hits
folks
harder.
from Sumeru have come to visit, so we're brainstorming a few nice surprises for them.
Amber!
Eula's embarrassed.
Sorry, at least I didn't say anything about what the surprises are.
Oh no. How am I supposed to join this conversation now? What do I say to that?
Speaking of nice surprises, we've actually had a fairly big one recently.
What kind of surprise? Tell me! I'm saved. Secros is giving me a lead-in. Now, I just need to follow on from what she's already started talking about.
There you go.
What an interesting prophecy.
Why does
I
everyone
have
make
no
that
idea
exact
what
same
the answer
pose?
could be, though.
One arm folded across like their
So
chest.
essentially, you're
The elbow
gathering
on that
information to
fist.
help you solve the riddles, correct?
Like
I'll do my best to help.
everyone makes that pose.
Thank you so much, Eula.
The one pose that
Anytime.
I'll never forget though, and from a game that always made me laugh was I think his name was Izard from Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I don't know. I think it's like a character quirk thing they do a lot of times in like games or anime. But it's like a JoJo's thing almost, except less drastic.
There's no need to answer right away. We'll put a mailbox next to the crafting bench for people to drop us a note once they've thought of something.
I'll drop something in there for sure.
She's
Nice
gonna drop a
idea.
bomb.
We can all commit to writing a note.
It's
We'll
the
see
way
what we can
Cleve
come up
said
with.
that.
Yep, don't worry.
We were talking
You can
about Bennett
count on
blowing
us.
up the
We
mailbox.
do have to finish our patrol first.
What route are you taking today?
We started in the Stormbearer Mountains, and we'll end at the city gates. You'd be very welcome to join us, but it sounds like you're pretty busy with all this.
I think it'd be
No.
yeah.
There's always
Oh,
next
okay.
time. We'll join up with you after we're done working through this prophecy.
Oh, yeah, so,
Kale definitely wanted to go.
we'll
Yeah.
be on our way for now.
See you later. Have a safe trip back.
Alright then. Who else have we not met? Rosario was on that list.
Are
We
you
haven't seen
okay,
Jean
Kale?
yet. Oh,
Was it that obvious?
No, not at all. It just looked like you had something on your mind.
So that means it was obvious.
it's fine.
Whatever is bothering you, you can talk to me about it if you want. I'm happy to help.
Thanks, Sucrose.
It's a really wholesome friendship.
Well, the truth is, I don't really know how to act around Amber and the others.
Really? I thought you two were good
They are.
friends.
He really looks up to
We
Amber,
are.
but that doesn't
Amber's
mean,
a really important friend to me.
you know.
I don't know.
I guess if I'm being completely honest, the problem's probably with me. The first time I came to Mondstadt, I was really immature. I didn't want to let people in, and I was generally pretty awful to everyone.
Just basically being
Amber
tortured
was
by
the
the
one
Torre.
person who didn't give up on me, and if it wasn't for her persistence, I wouldn't have found a friend at all. Without Amber, I might not even be here today. And because of that, I really look up to her. I think of her as my role model, and hoped that maybe one day, I could learn to be like her. But after trying and failing for several years, I think I finally realized. I'm no Amber.
That's not necessarily a bad thing, though.
Looking back,
Nothing wrong with like
seems silly
idolizing or
that I
looking
ever
up to
thought
someone,
like
but
that. We're nothing alike at all. My
just do your
personality's
best.
so weird. I always get so anxious and I overthink everything.
I do feel that on a personal level, though.
Golly, don't say that. Sucrose? Would it be okay if I told you a bit about my past?
Yeah, this is a good opportunity. Let's make everyone hate the Torre so that if he ever does become playable, everybody sasses him. But it's an important story to know, I think, if you're involved with Kale. Yeah.
I already knew bits and pieces about her, but still, why did she have to go through all that? I'm sorry. We've only just met and I'm already dumping all of this on you. This is why I get so frustrated at myself. I'm always doing this. I get into a spiral of self-doubt, and then I end up having to find somewhere to vent it all out. No, it's fine. I'm really glad that you're willing to tell me all this.
I think that it shows that there's
People
trust
don't
there.
open up about their deepest feelings unless they
Oh,
really
yeah,
trust
exactly.
the other person. Don't you think? At least, I think it's kind of an honor. And, I mean, you've probably noticed by now, but I don't have the best social skills either.
It's actually why I've enjoyed streaming. I get in
always
trouble
just
for
end up
this too.
talking about the things I'm interested in, and going on and on. But even so, you still listen to me when I talk my head off about alchemy. It's a relief to listen to you talking about yourself for once. If you hadn't told me all of those things, I never would have guessed that you struggle so much. Honestly, I feel like we're very similar people.
They even both have
Really?
green hair.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Everyone has their own problems to deal with. I certainly do. All the feelings that you talked about just now, I totally get it. It takes so much more effort for us introverts to fit into a crowd. When you were saying about how you try to think about what to say in advance, and you're constantly terrified of saying the wrong thing and making things awkward, I relate to that so much. Oh, and also that part about studying under a genius. In fact, before meeting you, I'd never met anyone who seemed so similar to myself. Oh. I'm not very good at giving words of comfort or anything, and I'm not gonna tell you to just get over it or stop worrying about it. How about we just sit here for a little while? We don't have to force a conversation if we can't think of anything. We can just sit here together.
Honestly, that's one of those,
Sucrose has stopped talking, but for some reason, this doesn't feel awkward at all.
in like a platonic
Maybe
way.
she's right, and we're more similar than I realized.
In like a platonic way, though, I don't know all the types, but like people talk about like the love language, the way you express affection and care for other people. There's like words of affirmation, I think it is, quality time. I think there's a couple others. You know, that does extend to like friends and people you just care about. And for some people, just being in the same space as others and knowing that they're there means a lot.
In Sumeru, I
Like,
always like to find a quiet place.
I know
to
people
just
joke
sit
about
and
like
watch
game
the sun.
storylines and like anime storylines, but a lot of times they do include very real things like that because it is a person behind the scenes or people,
Mondstadt's breeze
you
is
know,
so
talking
gentle
about
and
these types of
soft.
things.
Hey, Kale. See that cloud over there? Doesn't it look like one of my test tubes? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Sorry. Then maybe we're not quite on the same wavelength on everything. At least, not when it comes to looking at clouds in the sky.
You don't have to be.
Thank you,
The
Sucrose.
difference is what make
I
us
feel
people.
much better after talking to you.
Yeah, it helps a lot, doesn't it? I also vent to my flasks sometimes. The next time I get the chance, I have to show you my Tetratanic Sweet Flower.
I mean, Kali, I
And
think,
my
says she
Tetratanic
talks to, like,
Windblume.
tree hollows.
Your Tetra... what?
Two of my favorite things I've made. They're really cool. I think you might like them.
The crazy thing is, too, like, Sucrose talks about studying under a genius, but, like, Tamaya's views her as a genius. Everyone has things that they really excel at.
You want one? There's cheese flavor or tomato flavor?
Sure. I'll try the cheese one.
But I think that's what people really, really struggle with sometimes is,
Aw, look! They're enjoying the scenery together.
But, what some people struggle with is, for example, I noticed this in school with some friends. Like, I've mentioned this before, but, like, I feel like the only things I ever really did good at was, like, schooling and music. And then I kind of felt like outside of that, I struggled with just about everything. But, I had friends who, when we were going through, like, middle school, high school, and that's the primary aspect of your life is studying and going to, you know, school, they really, really struggled. But these were people that sometimes had really, really crazy hidden talents for, like, art, you know, for drawing, for just so many different things, you know, that maybe weren't exactly as relevant to their life. And I think that's a really good thing to just keep in mind if you're ever feeling down, is there are things that you're good at, no matter what. You just have to find them sometimes. And it's not always about being the greatest at things. Sometimes it's about how much you enjoy it.
No, it's fine. Let them sit for a while.
We're not what Colleen needs right now. She needs a new friend. Someone different who's never met her before.
I don't get it. Is there a difference?
Sometimes there is.
You'll understand once you're a little older, Klee. People can draw different kinds of strength from different kinds of friends. And right now, Colleen needs someone that's just not the same old me.
That's what makes characters like Amber and Eula so wholesome, though. Is like, Noah didn't even say anything there, you know. Not throwing shade or anything, but Eula and Amber both instantly recognize that, you know. And sometimes that's also important to recognize. Even if you have the intention of wanting to help someone, sometimes they need something else.
We made it! Paimon hopes we find someone we need here.
Help!
Is it
I beg
Timaeus?
you, please don't let go.
What?
Who's that yelling? Let's hurry and take a look.
I thought Rosario was more of like a night owl and she just slept during the day. Could be wrong. I guess during the Dragon Spine quest it was the middle of the day.
Have Rosaria and Mona? What kind of mishmash ensemble is this?
Oh, I forgot they changed Rosaria's outfit.
What kind of a motley crew is this?
It's
But-
been a while, traveler.
Hi.
You two are looking pretty good. I trust you've been well.
Yeah, we saved another nation.
Definitely
It's
faring a lot
crazy.
better than this poor guy on the ground.
Is it Timaeus? I can't
Hey,
even...
please
Yeah, it
don't
is.
Rub salt in my wound. I really have been trying my best.
How did you end up on the side of a
You're
cliff?
good talk. If this sister hadn't grabbed you in time, then you'd have been seriously hurt, if not dead.
I know. I really am grateful, miss. I can't thank you enough.
Don't mention it. Just lending a hand.
Quite literally. And had she not lent him a hand and pulled him up, he would have gone tumbling
Yeah, if
down
you can't
the
use a
hillside.
wind glider, that's not a that's not a fall you come back from.
Fall off the cliff?
It's like 10 stories.
Well, so what actually happened was I came to Star Snatch Cliff today to pick some flowers and ran into Mona on the way. She took a look at her scry glass and advised me to turn back.
Because it would be dangerous. And I ignored her.
But you still came up here anyway?
Yeah, she looks so
Yes, I
unimpressed.
did, because there's something I just had to do.
Oh, I hardly think giving flowers to your crush is worth throwing one's life away for.
It's rare to run into someone with a death wish in this area.
I don't have a death wish. I just didn't think you
That
would
makes me
really
almost
come
think though maybe the lady from
true.
Leo he has a
Mona
crush
said
on
it
might
was
not be Mona.
dangerous. I thought I'd be fine as long as
Because
I
if he had a
watched my
crush
step
on her,
cautiously. I'm sorry.
he'd probably
okay?
believe her,
I
you
was
know?
wrong. I'm telling you, I'm just here chasing the love of my life. Love-struck Mondstadters is what the Windblume Festival's all about.
And yet you're the only one we've
that
met
explains you.
with that distinction.
Why is Rosaria here?
I was looking for a quiet place to escape the crowds. I wasn't planning on having to save a life along the way.
So that's why the Scryglass just showed danger instead of fatal danger.
Very funny. Anyway, Traveler and Paimon, what brings the two of you to Star Snatch Cliff?
Just trying our luck. We've got a lot of people we need to see today, so we've been all over the place. Actually, you're some of the people we were looking for.
Huh?
I see. So all we'll need to do is find some clues, make a note, and drop it off at the mailbox?
I can't believe there's a prophecy like this, let alone that I have a part to play in it.
Well,
Oh, I
maybe.
guess this means everyone will find out about my crush now. I came here because I wanted to give some Cecilias to the girl I love. They'll really suit her. She's...
No one asked. Please, do not subject us to...
Now I almost hope it's not Mona.
You saw right through me.
What do you mean you saw right through me? You were just talking about it.
Well, in that case, Mona Magistus the astrologist will provide you with a personally handwritten letter. Just wait for it to show up in your mailbox.
Okay.
You can be on your way now. We won't keep you any longer.
Alright, then let's head back for now and meet up with everyone else.
Just call Timaeus out one more time.
Will do. This is
Embarrassing.
all so embarrassing.
You almost died falling off a cliff on a windy day, and it's embarrassing. Yeah. Let's go with that.
Take it easy.
Oh, hey. We getting any letters yet?
We're back! Oh, but it looks like you two beat us. Welcome back. Did everything go well? Yep, we managed to find and talk to everybody.
We got back a little early, so we took some time just now to put the mailbox together. We got really lucky today. The vendors were feeling super generous, so we didn't even need to
got a
pay for the
splinter?
materials. It's
Oof.
just a shame that Kale got a splinter.
Back before I had to leave my job.
I'm used to working in the rainforest. I get splinters all the time.
Oh, there you go.
I've already taken care of it.
But back before I had to leave my job, unfortunately, I'm looking for other worker to get back into school right now. Because my life is not exactly in line. I got a splinter right underneath my nail. And because I was out driving a box truck all day, I didn't have any way of getting it out, and it was under there for like 10 hours, and it hurts so bad. Like, splinters are nasty stuff.
We've already wrapped up everything on our to-do list for today.
Ugh,
So
I still just shudder
all we
about
need
that
to do
day.
now is
That day
wait
was
for everyone's
terrible.
letters to arrive. Traveler, Paimon, why don't you get some rest while I keep an eye on the mailbox?
You're definitely your master's student, Sucrose. As long as you or Albedo are around, Paimon can relax and know that everything's taken care of.
Stop. You're embarrassing me.
Wait. Actually, there's one thing that still needs taking care of. Paimon's starving. Hey, Traveler, you want to get dinner? Your treat.
Sure.
I'll go with Sucrose to return the leftover materials to the vendors. You two, go get a proper meal. We can't have anyone going hungry.
Yeah, now would be a good time for a break. Once everything is ready,
Oh.
let's meet up here again and collate all the information
Who is
we've
that?
gathered.
Sounds like a plan.
I actually have no idea who that is. It's not uncommon for them to add, like, completely new characters to, like, the event quests. Like, they had that one NPC in the Inazuma questline with, like, the Test of Courage that had, like, a super cool, unique design.
This one, and this
With, like, the flower over her eye.
Oh, and this one. Hey, Paimon's really hungry. And don't forget, Paimon's also ordering for you, too. It's not like Paimon's gonna eat everything by herself.
I mean, you can eat a sweet madame all by yourself, and that entire thing is, like, the size of your body.
Ooh, Paimon is super full.
everything packed up and ready? What do you think about meeting up at 5 to go to my house?
Yes, everything's ready. I've packed some great wine and smoked ham. Oh, your parents will love it.
Ham? Look, we've known each other for quite some time now. Don't you think it's been long enough for you to remember that we only eat bacon in my house?
Oh.
I must remember to get
Oh, it's the
some
trainee
milk
knight.
today on my way home.
Or did she end up
Please,
becoming a full-fledged
feel free
knight?
to pay a visit to Cat's Tail
I thought there was
anytime.
something like that.
Enjoying the scenery?
Hi, Venti.
Bard, are you here for some food as well?
Oh, I can
I'll
put
buy
something
something
on
for
your
you.
tab. Well, that's a pity. I already have
I don't know
a
what next
great
Venti
proposal
rerun is
here.
either, but I'd like
I
Venti.
shall take
You can
you
do
up
some
on your
crazy
kind
crowd
offer
control
another
stuff with
day.
Kazuo
There should be
Venti.
no shortage of opportunities in the future.
I saw a clear of my least favorite
You should be
domain.
getting ready to thank me.
Yeah,
I've got
Mondstadt
very
one that
good
used
news.
Kazuha and Venti. And you just hit burst on like 4 people, and because of the Kazuha Venti crowd control, it literally just cleared everything.
What kind of
It's crazy.
news?
Behold!
Hmm.
What is it?
The map, isn't it?
It's what you need the most right now. The answer to the prophetic puzzle.
Oh.
Simply head to the location marked on the map, and you'll find the lantern you've been looking for. However, if I were you, I wouldn't just go and reveal the secret right away. As you've seen, a lot of people have been laboring hard to uncover.
Why'd you give us the answer?
A secret is like a well-aged brew. The aroma from the bottle is sweetest when revealed in the company of friends. Then it's settled. I'll leave you to your business for now. Feel free to find me for a chat again once you're done working.
I feel like this is absolutely just going to be one of those. The moral of the story is it's about the journey on the
We
way.
could organize another fast-track love poem class.
Oh,
Let's
you're
not.
starting that up again?
Me and poetry don't go
Sure am.
along well.
Nobody else has signed up this year, though, so the duty to learn falls on you. Anyway, see you later.
That's how you know the demand was really high for it and people really enjoyed it last time.
He always looks so relaxed whenever we run into him. Paimon can't help but be jealous.
Well, people mellow out with
Excuse
age.
me, if you don't mind, could I chat with you
And
for
he's
a
like,
moment?
how many thousands of years old? Oh, it's the lady who was spying on us.
You may call me Scarlet. Just like you, I'm a traveler visiting Mondstadt from another land.
Well,
Mind if
she's
I buy you a
obviously doesn't have outfit reminiscent of any of the regions we've been to, which... Have we met anyone from Natlan before? Like, anyone?
Leaving the door open for another time, I see. I can tell that you've dealt with a lot of people during your travels.
You can tell? Well, we are very experienced adventurers after all.
I can. That's why I tried to strike up
My
a
first thought was
conversation
just
with
because
you
of
in
the
the first
thematic that it's someone from
I was on my way to
Shniznaya,
go
but...
shopping earlier when I overheard your conversation
know.
next to the crafting bench. From what I could gather, you are
So I
trying
thought
to
Shniznaya was
investigate
supposed
a
to be based
bizarre
on Russia.
Yep, bizarre is
Cause like...
definitely the word.
I mean, I know there's like debate on like what Mondstadt's meant to represent and stuff, but I know Leo's based on China, I know Inazuma's based on Japan. I have no idea where Sumeru is supposed to be based off of because it's a split region. But I think Fontaine's based on France, I want to say.
Don't you think it sounds just like the kind of story that would happen in Mondstadt? Anyway,
But it's the land of freedom.
that's why I wanted to ask you a favor. If and when you manage to unravel the answer to the prophecy, could you let me know what it is?
I will say, I think I've heard a lot of people say, like the debate I've heard, and I don't know if there's been like an official statement on any of this, but people have heard like, oh, it's the land of freedom, so people assume it's based on America or the United States. But design-wise, I've never felt like that. Could just be me though. I don't
Not
know,
so
I'm
much
no
the
expert.
prophecy itself, but Mondstadt as a nation. That's what I'm interested in. I was born in a distant land, but I have family and
Okay.
friends who once lived in Mondstadt for a long time. They said that it's a great place full of fairy
Well.
tales and romance and recommended that I come for a visit.
The grass is always
As it
greener on the other
happens,
side of the
someone
fence.
I know has an anniversary
I like
coming up soon.
Mondstadt, but
So I figured this would be a good time
Yeah.
to come here and see all the sights that she once saw.
I don't think there's anything to say they're more happy than people in like Liyue, you know?
It certainly lives up to its name as the city of romance and freedom.
We think so too.
So, about the prophecy.
I'll let you know if we find the answer.
You're very friendly. It's been a real pleasure to meet you. I'll leave it to you then. I hope you continue to enjoy the city and have a wonderful day.
That was a little random.
Definitely isn't dressed like a local, huh? Where do you think her hometown could be?
I mean, like I was saying, it has to be one of the 3 nations we haven't visited. My thought, though, is like... Again, attire-based, I assume Shnesnaya, but it could be like Fontaine. Give us a teaser for some Fontaine characters right before we go to our next nation. I am still wondering... It's really heavily implied, I think, by almost everyone in the community. That will probably go Fontaine, then Natlan, then Shnesnaya, which would make sense, but... Who knows, honestly.
Please find me a flower that is not of this world, and a guide who will never get lost. Find me one who would never lie, as well as a legend that never ends.
Oh, it's Rosar. That looked like yeah.
I never thought I'd have someone secretly following me, even in a free city like Mondstadt.
She just doesn't even
Good
say
day
anything.
To you, miss.
I feel like Rosara isn't often caught when she's following someone, but he's obviously suspicious of her. It's also interesting just because, there it didn't even really seem like she cared. Like when she was sneaking around to follow... Yeah, let's just straighten apart. When she was sneaking around to like follow Albedo way back when, she was standing off to the side like behind a little bit of a snowbank. That's at 8 o'clock the next day, I think. Whereas there she literally just stood on a ledge right above her and just looked at her. But if Rosara is suspicious of her, that makes me wonder. Really does make me wonder. Granted, Rosara is suspicious of most people, I suppose, but... She's one of, like, the quote-unquote protectors of Mondstadt, not like the generic Knights of Favonius. So, who knows? It's a lengthy quest, though. Taking about an hour just to do one part. I thought this was going to be like an hour-and-a-half stream.
Traveler,
But
Paimon.
might be closer to 2-3.
We got a lot of letters in the mailbox, and I just finished sorting them into 4 groups.
I do think there's only 3 parts to this quest, though.
Well, the real work hasn't even started yet. Which batch of letters should we read through first?
Do we actually get a choice? Did we ever... We never sent someone to talk to Jean. Wait a second. Oh, we do get a choice, so that's interesting. I just want to know... Yeah. We have to read all these letters? No one can confidently say that they will never get lost, but as long as their wish to guide and help others does not waver, they will become a ship that can traverse the waves eternally. I didn't perform any divination before writing this letter, but I have a feeling that I will witness the truth behind the prophecy together with you all. If you need me, just call on me at my place, I'll be there. Thanks, Mona. I guess we could read through all these. It'll take a second, but... I've been thinking about this for a long time. Before you came to me with this prophecy, it never even crossed my mind that I could be a part of this. Well, as you all know, I'm probably the last person you'd think of when it comes to guiding others. Isn't he a senior adventurer? I still have a long way to go, and I'm still trying to figure out how to peacefully coexist with everything in this world. But if you're asking me about who can be of help, my friend Fisho and her friend Mona and the astrologists are both very brave and knowledgeable. I say they're probably the ones they're looking for, so that's 2 instances towards Mona. Guide is too grand a title for me, you are literally an outrider. But I'd love to be everyone's friend. It's something I think I'm good at, and I'm an attentive listener. So do let me know when you feel lost. To use an analogy, I'm like a torch out in the wild that will help illuminate everyone's path so long as it continues to burn bright. Everything written below is not meant for Kale. Dear Kale, if you're reading this, please turn away. I've been worried about Kale lately. She recovered from the illness, but she still doesn't look all that cheerful. It feels like she still has things she can't let go of. That is fair. Mika, I hope this letter finds you all well. I didn't expect to be asked such a question, which caused quite a headache at first. I only know how to guide people in the geological sense, but on the journey of life, I'm still the lost kid that needs the guidance of others. But upon seeing your question, I immediately knew what I can help with. I tried drawing a map showing vegetation distribution for Mr. Tainari and Miss Kale, as well as a dragon spotting calendar for Mr. Sino. Both are attached below. In the next few days, I will need to... Oh, you could scroll down. I will need to patrol with the captain and draw maps for Miss Lisa, so I can only support you with my well wishes. My apologies. Please forgive me. Up the map and the list will be of some help to you. I assume the captain refers to, Eula. Yeah, allow me to write my wish here. I hope that Kale can uncover the secret behind the prophecy and find her happiness. Wherever she is and whoever she becomes, I'll always be her friend no matter what. We're not the savior and the saved, but simply good friends. Amber's a wholesome character. Alright. Let's go back to the first one, though. So, flower not of the world. After a conversation the other day, I went over the prophecy's wording carefully. A flower that is not of this world sounds more like a logical paradox. Think about it. If a flower is not of this world, its existence cannot be perceived. I don't think that's technically the case, but however, if it can be perceived, it will not fit the description of the prophecy. As such, my view is that the riddle's answer doesn't have to be a real plant. However, I must also note, with all due respect, that the person who came up with this riddle may not know all the plants in the world. And I dare say no one could make such a claim. From this perspective, you could even think of some rare plants as potential candidates for the answer. Attached to the list of rare plant species, I've added a short description to each entry and hope you can find your answer within them. Best of wishes to you. That sounds very much like Tainari. I like that they kind of made it a letter that you could almost imagine the character reading it, even if my non-talented voice acting voice is the one saying it. A flower that is not of this world doesn't sound like an existing species or something created through specialized cultivation techniques. With that noted, I believe we should think out of the box. After reviewing what I've learned over the years, I have now reached a conclusion. Sucrose also came to discuss her thoughts with me. She hasn't yet decided on an answer at the moment of me writing this letter, so I won't be revealing my own conclusion right now. We can discuss it in detail when we meet, and I hope everyone else will bring their respective answers too. Thanks, Albedo. Sure, let's go. It's basically a come see me and I'll tell you, I suppose. It feels strange to insert a letter into the mailbox that I made myself, but I did find my answer. Okay. At first I thought a flower created using alchemy would constitute one that is not of this world, but according to the prophecy... But after giving it some more thought, I realized that instead of creating an actual plant, a flower-shaped mechanism made of alchemical products might fit the description better. Okay. So I arrived at my conclusion, a clock in the shape of a flower. The long passage of light brushes past the timepiece, leaving fluttering petals in its wake. The elapsing years stir up the leaves, pushing the needle of time forward. Interesting. One who would never lie. You are correct to assume that I seldom lie. This has to do with my upbringing. As a desert dweller who has been living within the academia since my childhood, my unusual identity makes it hard for others to trust me. And it would have... Oh, I'm stumbling over my words now. Been reading too much. It would have been harder to still if I was not honest. As a result, I learned to talk less and speak no more than what is necessary. Uncovering the secret behind the prophecy may come with its perils. If you need someone who would never lie, I can join you. Thanks, Sino. Rosario says, I must make one thing clear first. I am not someone who would never lie. Yeah, fair enough. After hearing your question, I thought about many things in the past in earnest, and I recalled many occasions upon which I lied. I often make up excuses to avoid choir practice. I also tell white lies too. Sometimes to make myself happy, and other times to allow myself to give up on some struggles. That's very relatable. The nicest lie I've ever come up with is the one I told Varka, that I didn't want to stay in Mondstadt. Oh, okay. Varka responded with another lie, and that was his advice to me. Your current abilities are not suited to life beyond Mondstadt's borders. Both of those were like kind lies, though, to get her to stay where she wants to be. I can't be the answer to this question, but I suggest you consider what never lying actually means. Does it mean to never deceive, or to never lie with ill intent? It's a pity that I'm not the one you're looking for, but I believe that someone who meets the requirements will turn up. Good luck. Thanks, Riz. That was wholesome. I asked my teacher Lisa to write this letter. It's much better than the ones I wrote. Many thanks. I don't lie, I trust you. Come to me when you need me. I will always be there for you. That's also really wholesome. And last, the legend that never ends. Right. And we never got a letter from Jean. We never even talked to Jean. Anyway, legends were created by humans. In that sense, no legend endures forever, and all stories must end in regret someday. But as long as a good story lives in someone's hearts, it does in some way live on forever. That's the conclusion I've come to after years of reading anyway. Best of luck, little cuties. Yeah, that's fair. Mom writes travel guides, but she did have friends who wrote fairy tales, so Clee heard that a story its author spends their whole life writing on will always be a good one. You see this with like a lot of manga and anime, actually. Like One Piece is... I don't know if the author, I think it's Ichiro Oda, has written any other stories. But, when you think about how much time he's put into that story, it's been, what, over a couple decades now? And then Kale. I think that a legend that never ends should be a story filled with hopes and dreams. It works like a baton that's passed on from one person to the next, offering something meaningful to everyone that it touches. I was once greatly encouraged by such stories, so I think I'll be going with this answer. I actually really like that answer. Passing on the torch to, like, a next generation or a new person. Wait. Oh, okay. For some reason I thought that's what I hit the first time. That's interesting.
Let me quickly summarize what we found out about a flower that is not of this world. Tainari believes that on closer examination...
Oh, I didn't need to read them out loud if we were gonna... Okay.
While Albedo says that his answer would be better discussed at length in person. As for my answer, I think a clock in the shape of a flower would constitute one that is not of this world.
Here's what we've gathered regarding a guide who will never get lost. Mona said that she'd like to join us in uncovering the secret behind the prophecy, while Bennett suggests Fischl, Mona, or the Traveler as potential candidates.
Interesting. I never really thought of the Traveler guide. I will say, one reason that is just in my head, I thought for a second maybe the Traveler was the flower of another world, is I've been reading a manual. I can't remember the name of it. Well, I don't know if it's a manual. I was reading like the light novel version of it. But they had like a dance or something like that, and it was like the spring or fall or whatever flower is what they named someone. As like a title for like, almost like Prom King, Prom Queen, I think. It was an interesting story. I've noticed like manhwa tend to be, manhwa, I don't know how to pronounce it. Feel like they're a lot more romance-based though, most of the time. Than like manga tend to be. Not that there aren't romance manga or like action-based manhwa. Like I was also reading, like I've been reading some, been getting more and more into manhwa recently as well. As current manga, I'm still caught up on like Record of Ragnarok and a couple other really good stories. But I've been following Jujutsu Kaisen as well. But like there's some other ones I've just been getting into, like My Daughter is the Final Boss. Or I can't remember, but there's one about, I think it was Bahamut. And it was like a character that was locked up in a dungeon. And the first chapter is him, like he was a boss in a dungeon just destroying adventurers. And then somehow he ended up like taking over the body of the last one as his dungeon was destroyed. It's an interesting story. But anyway, that was a bit of a ramble.
But he did draw a vegetation map for Master Tainari, and wrote up a dragon spotting calendar for Sino. Amber also wrote in. She said that she sees herself as nobody's guide, but everybody's friend.
As for one who would never lie, Rosaria removed herself from consideration, but both Razor and Sino are willing to support us in our search.
I really
Timaeus
liked
seems
Rosaria's
to
letter though.
have forgotten to write to us.
It's actually a little bit sad in a way, but still.
And finally, this is what we've gathered on a legend that never ends. Klee said that her mom has a number of friends who like to write storybooks. Lisa believes that legends live forever in people's hearts. I think that for a legend to be never-ending, it has to be filled with hopes and dreams, and actively passed from one person to the next.
Well, that's how legends get passed down. Otherwise, they're forgotten. They don't really become legends then. I hope it doesn't ask us, because I have no idea.
I bet you can figure it all out in no time.
Also, Venti kind of gave us a cheat code to the end.
Let's all share our thoughts on what we think the answers might be.
Wait! Wait
Oh yeah,
for
Timaeus
me!
didn't put one in.
Timaeus, what brings you here?
Timaeus, not
I'm
Timaeus.
sorry, I really am. The time just got away from me and I didn't get around to writing that letter.
Oh, good.
However, I'm happy to announce that I think I can be the one who would never lie.
To be fair, would never lie is different from has never lied.
Not that we don't trust you, Timaeus, but, could you elaborate a little after you catch your breath?
Of course, of course.
You good?
Do you still remember the time I, collaborated with a certain Miss Ying-ar?
That was a long time ago, yeah.
Well, basically, she helped me out a lot with my research.
Oh, is that the person that he's in love
potion-making
with?
Once, and, well, we've stayed in touch through letters ever since.
Huh.
Wait, so Ying-ar is the girl from Lila that Sucrose mentioned earlier? We always assumed you were hard at work every time we saw you at the crafting bench. You've just been writing letters to Ying-ar the whole time?
Jeez.
No, I mean, not all the time. I've done some work too. And anyway, our correspondence covers a lot of serious topics.
I hadn't thought of Ying-ar just because we hadn't. She didn't even cross my mind.
Anyway, a few months ago, I made a vow to the heavens that I will be true to myself and never utter an insincere word until the day that I've managed to win Miss Ying-Ar's heart.
And he'll never lie because he's never gonna... he's never gonna win her heart. I'm so sorry, dude. I may have done Timaeus a little dirty. Timaeus, a little dirty there.
Well, that's right. The Cecilia flower is said to represent a once wayward heart, transformed by the power of love. I couldn't think of a better flower to give than that. I know full well that Miss Ying-Ar is far more knowledgeable than I in both the ways of the world and the ways of our craft, but I thought I should make the effort for once and put myself out there. Which brings me to the subject of the last few days and the Windblume Festival. I thought it was time for me to...
Oh, is he about to tell us she's like engaged or something?
But yesterday, Albedo told me that Sucrose has been working hard to help another girl achieve her dream.
Huh?
I'm gonna feel a little bad if that's actually the reason.
Roster, I saw that she'd done my remaining work for me.
I'll never lie until I win her heart.
Incredibly guilty. I've been spending
Because you
all
can't.
of my time in my own fantasy world, while everyone else has been bending over backwards to help other people. How could I ever hope to be worthy of Miss Ying-Ar's love if I'm so selfish?
Oh, Timaeus.
And that's why I've decided to join you.
Okay.
But then what about Ying-Ar?
Yeah. Haven't you been planning this for over a month now? You said you were gonna invite her to Mondstadt.
I mean, the festival's already underway.
Yes, I did mention in my letters that I'd like
So-
her to visit, which is why I just sent her another gift with my hand-picked Windblooms, along with a handwritten letter. I explained that a matter of great importance has presented itself, to which I must devote my full attention for the time being.
How long is the Windblume
I'll
Festival?
make haste to Liyue to pick her up.
Because they have like Wind Trace and several
I
other
made sure to
festivals.
package the gift and letter with the greatest care. All I can do now is hope that she'll understand. Point being, please know that I sincerely want to support you in this endeavor. Plus, I think I'm an honest person.
That's,
As
yeah,
far
sure.
As I recall, I don't think I've told a single
That
lie
being
in my
said, it's not like we haven't seen like NPCs have love stories, like the Lantern Right Fatui couple.
We won't let your determination go to waste.
Thank you, Timaeus.
life. Ah, thank you, everyone. I promise to do everything I can to help.
Okay, so it looks like we found our one who would never lie.
Great! Let's keep it up. On
I really didn't assume that's who that was, but I guess we've decided.
Okay, Paimon will do the honors. Ahem. We have with us here the flower,
The
the
guide,
guide,
the legend. Okay. That's what they choose. So I was wrong on the guide. Looks like they went with Mona, which makes sense with her astrology, given how we've seen her in other times. The legend was Klee. Why'd you say and Timaeus? Wait a second.
Why did you only say Timaeus? You should say
Yeah.
my name too.
All right. We also have Klee.
That's me!
Klee here. This all somehow feels like we're getting ready for a field trip.
She's a
There's
fully
nothing
fledged
wrong
knight.
with a more relaxed atmosphere, is there? Of course. We will soon see if my hypothesis has any merit.
Actually, I'm still feeling a little nervous.
That's fair.
Me too.
I have to say, I have such a hard time after watching like all the Among Us voice actor collabs. Taking Albedo completely seriously is so much harder. Because I can't help but think of like the compilations, like when the imposter Albedo was attacking, and people would do edits just replacing it with like voice lines, well not voice lines, but like quotes from that collab.
Weren't you all fired up?
Just cracks me up every time. So funny.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, let's do this.
Actually, I'm a little worried too. Deep breaths. Deep breaths.
I know what you're feeling. Saying anything becomes so much harder when there are so many people watching.
Yeah, that's why public speaking is hard.
Does anyone know the exact location of where we're headed, or should I do a reading on my scry glass?
According
And
to
here's
the
where we tell them, oh, by the way, we actually know where we're
once we
supposed to
figure
go.
out the answer, we should test it at the Lantern of Utmost Joy. Wait,
But where is this lantern?
Oh, we know something about that.
Yeah, let's just come out of the blue. By divining the wind. Well, we're not gonna tell him we know the animal
That's
Archon.
amazing. You really know how to do everything under the sun.
I can never remember exactly who was 100% aware, like, who's the Archons. Because obviously, like, with Zhongli, it's pretty much just the Adeptus. I think Hu Tao suspects and stuff like that, we've seen that. But as far as I can remember, it's probably just the Adeptus. The Adepti, yeah. Sumeru, everyone knows who Nahida is. That's a bit of a different story. Inazuma, the same, holds true. In Mondstadt, I'm pretty sure... I was always under the impression, like, the people who knew for certain definitely included, like, Jean Diluc, right? And some of the people that were involved in the original Dvalin story.
Then we'll let you lead the way.
We'll see.
This is it! We're off to find the sacred location of the Lantern of Utmost Joy!
Anyway. On the beach. Didn't we have, like, an event here at one point? I remember there was an event on a Mondstadt beach once that was like, it was when they introduced the Diluc outfit and it went over his past a little bit. I don't know if it was this beach in oh, never mind, it's on the cliff. Never mind, disregard.
It should be somewhere around here.
Aww. I don't see any lanterns here. Now that I think about it, the prophecy didn't say anything about what the Lantern Utmost Joy actually looks like.
The hilarious event, he just lied.
Overlooked something?
Could you imagine?
Traveler, are you trying to figure out something else from the paper?
Just once, I'd love to see a quest in like Genshin or another game where like someone just straight up lied, just not even like maliciously, just to troll. It'd be so funny.
But there's nothing above us! The wind didn't trick us, did it?
You should recite the incantation.
Place the squirrel on the back of the pointy-eared cat.
What?
And a pious puppy will open the doors to show you the way. Huh.
What?
Paimon read the whole thing out loud, but nothing's happening.
Look! The
Oh.
wind is blowing!
What a strong wind current.
Oh.
Well, let's ride it up and see where it leads us.
Huh? We'll have to fly up there? Can someone carry me with them?
Just hold your arms out. And it'll be fine. Let the wind Imagine Venti just lets him fall.
This is the first time I've ever flown like this!
Well, given that you almost fell off a cliff being an idiot, I don't find that terribly surprising. Where are we going? Did I miss the wind current? What? Oh. Okay, well that's interesting. Is there some books and a little, like, dinner party or something?
How did this little island get up here in the sky? Did somebody make it?
It's almost like we know, by this point, four literal
I've been
gods.
jotting down our entire route here.
You know?
This way, no one will get lost.
Oh, good thinking, Kale. Who would have thought we'd find this kind of table here? Weird. It's almost as if someone was holding a tea party.
I never would have guessed that such a place could exist. Right above Mondstadt,
There are
too.
floating islands everywhere.
Look at that pretty lantern
What do you
on
mean?
the table. There's even a chair for each side of the lantern, too.
If this was like in like the real world, yeah.
Chair. Let me have a closer look.
There are floating islands everywhere.
Take your seat, present your answers, and you shall reach enlightenment. Well, as far as instructions go, I guess that's simple enough.
So we just need to do as it says, right?
Wait a second.
Huh? What is it, Albedo?
We'd better make sure this place is safe before taking our seats. Everyone,
I'm
please
sure
stay
it's
clear for a moment.
fine.
Well, all our questions and doubts aside, the scenery here is pretty amazing. It'd be impossible to feel stressed here.
How is everything, Albedo?
What?
Everything seems to be fine.
I just heard like a bubble
I
off to
didn't
this
find
side.
any traps or suspicious mechanisms, but I also couldn't find any overt destructive devices.
Does Klee have any of her Dodokos?
What do you mean?
Because they're pretty overtly
Well,
destructive.
It seems that wrong answers won't have any catastrophic
Oh, that's what he was
consequences.
worried about.
Looks like we'll have to sit on these chairs and fulfill the prophecy.
I like to imagine
Everyone,
Venti's just somewhere off
I
to
would
the
like
side.
To suggest that we try
Like
some
camouflaged.
risky answers on our first attempt. Let's reserve our most confident answers for the
Yeah,
second.
let's tempt fate.
That sounds kind of smart. But why?
Ah, I get what he means. If we do as he says, then we may be able to figure out how the puzzle works.
I see. That makes a lot of sense.
Mona, is there something wrong? You're not looking too good.
She just did like a divination, didn't she?
I brought some snacks.
Is she still broke? I know she was writing like a newspaper column at some point.
But that's not quite it. While Albedo was checking just now, I gave my scryglass a spin, hoping to find some information. But there's a strange aura to this place. It's almost as if someone has been staring.
Oh, is
at
Venti
me
actually
as soon as
watching?
we stepped foot
It could be
into
Alice because Klee's involved, but I doubt it.
Has actually been physically tampered with. Then, no, could that person be?
What if it was Mona's teacher? That'd be funny too. The person she's been avoiding for like 2 years worth of time.
What do you mean, Mona? Who could it be?
I guess she does have that voice line of her trying to divine into
Never
Venti.
mind. It's not
And it
like I've
didn't work
got no
out.
Proof.
Don't leave us on the edge like this, Mona.
I'm surprised her teacher never came looking for her.
Yes. Let's test the hypothesis.
I guess to be
together.
fair, she's also an astrologer, so she probably knows exactly what's going on, but still.
Oh, all right.
Okay, then I'll answer the first question. If someone were to ask me to find a flower that is not of this world,
You can do it, Sucrose.
Are we doing the wrong answers first or the right ones?
then I would fetch a tetragenic sweet flower.
Alright, I'm up next. My part of the prophecy is to find a guide who will never get lost.
Kali, I hope you found your answer.
My answer is that I will be
Oh,
that
okay.
guide. For a long time, I have been guided by others. It's taken me a while, but I finally made it to where I am today.
But she's trying to be a
Although I
forest
still
ranger
haven't
too.
made a name for myself, and I'm still quite immature. I would still like to put my name forward, because I would like to become a guide that can help others. I want to help others the same way Amber, Master Tainari, Sino, and everyone else helped me. Now it's
Kind of
my
similar to her
turn to
answer for
pass
the
on
legend,
gift
too.
that I've been given.
That's kind of cool.
All right, it's up to me to answer the third part. I'll submit myself as one who would never lie.
Okay, but seriously, though, I doubt it's where they're going with it. But if he says, I will never lie until I win Miss Yingare's heart. But I would never lie, like ever. I can't help but think.
Although I've never really had any other virtues or talents, I'm confident that I've always been an honest person.
That is still a good virtue
I'd
to
like
have.
to thank everyone, too, for giving me this opportunity to validate myself.
And last but not least, I will answer the final part of the prophecy.
It seems like they're giving the real answers, though.
The title of a legend that never ends,
Oh.
then our fates as human beings.
That's fair. But Albedo was saying something about not giving the right answer and seeing what happens.
All 4 sides of the lantern are glowing.
Huh? But
Oh, they were the test answers? But to my... I'm confused.
Kale, could I ask you to stand up for a second?
Oh, alright.
Oh. Oh. Oh.
What's going on? Why is it lighting up regardless of who's sitting in the chair? Didn't it say we have to answer all the questions?
No, I do wonder how it works now.
It's pretty clear now, isn't it?
Oh,
We've just proven
okay.
that there is no right answer for this prophecy.
That's fair. I wouldn't have figured that out if he hadn't tested his hypothesis. I didn't think these were test
Although
answers
the
though.
instructions had
That
come
seemed
from
like a very
old and
sincere answer from
enigmatic
Kale,
prophecy,
Maeus to some
it
extent,
is in
Mona as
fact
well.
nothing like the ancient mechanism that we had all imagined it to be.
Hmm.
I believe the lantern only serves as a simple signal.
Okay. Who's this?
And to think,
Oh.
I never expected you to
Who
actually
is
find
this?
place.
I forgot about this character already, and it's been like less than an hour.
Here?
We meet again, traveler.
Hmm.
Hey, you're that Outlander we met the other day at Good Hunter.
It's all thanks to you that I was able to find this place. Good
Oh.
thing that you were too preoccupied with the prophecy to notice someone tailing you from the shadows.
Oh, never mind, it's a villain apparently.
Oh, is that so? Then why do I spy yet another person following your shadow?
Wait, really?
Yeah.
There's no need for pleasantries. You should know I'm here for you.
The way she said it at first, I almost was like, oh, is she the right one?
I was there when you snuck your way into Marjorie's place.
Oh.
So you had your eyes on me even then, huh? That was 2 whole weeks ago, you know.
What is Rosaria?
It's hard not to notice you when I'm on duty every day.
All right. In that case, I'll admit it. I was the person who
Oh, okay, so
slipped
she-
this
okay.
prophecy into the storybook.
Huh? But why?
Oh.
Then, does that mean this wasn't a real prophecy after all?
Don't worry. Even though you probably have plenty of reservations about me,
Okay.
you can be sure that the prophecy is genuine.
For a second there, I really did think, oh, is this like a random villain? But looks like they're gonna explain it.
In fact, many of you here today may have heard the code name of the one who left the prophecy.
Oh, something else that was maybe passed down.
She hailed from an ancient assembly of powerful women, each of whom used a single letter to signify themselves.
Who would have guessed? It seems that power was indeed
Oh.
left behind by the old hag after all.
Ah, so you're B's student.
Oh.
It's an honor to meet you. I am Scarlet, the successor
BJ,
of
huh?
Jay.
Well, what are you talking about?
It's a long story, but I'm not quite sure that I'm the best person to tell it.
Who's Jay, though? We obviously know B.
Since you've all spent so much time and
We haven't
energy
met
trying
Mona's
to
teacher,
decipher
but
this prophecy, you must also be very interested.
it's not
in
like
the
we have any
secret behind
backstory to
this
Scarlet
lantern,
to know
The lantern has already been
who
lit.
that could be.
Now then, please allow me to disturb your happy peace.
Uh-huh.
Huh. Why did this little thing just light up? How strange.
Hello?
Oh.
On the other side of the lantern. Can you hear me over there?
Mom?
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't that Alice's voice actor?
Oh, I hear many youthful voices.
Madam, I am Scarlet, the successor of Jay.
Oh, since we've last
Oh.
gathered, Jay's successor has already become so reckless and bold. Unbelievable.
Wait. Why are you talking just like the old hag?
Old hag.
It's actually...
Is that Mona?
Who are you? Who dares imitate my master?
And what of imitation and mimicry? It has always been a fool's errand to mimic
Okay.
and learn from humanity.
Oh, it's Alice. I'm here too.
Mom, why are you trying to talk like other people?
So I see everyone's here. Well then, my warmest greetings, everyone.
Miss Alice, why would you...
Well, it's been many years since this lantern last lit up. You can't blame me for thinking that one of the old friends from my youth may have decided to catch up
Oh.
again.
And I would assume this is Jay's lantern, and it's like...
Boy, all of a sudden.
I would assume this is like a communication device then that they use for that group. But then what happened to Jay?
And if I recall correctly, we left this lantern in
Oh.
the care of the Animo Archon Barbados.
Huh.
You must be commended for uncovering an artifact.
So
and
Alice, at
to
least,
the
Alice
of
and Mona's
Wind
master do
himself.
know who Venti is.
Tell me, are you sitting around my beloved tea party table?
Interesting.
It's a really long table.
Oh, so you are. I suppose this means even the Animo Archon has granted you entry to this place. Was all of this Scarlet's doing?
Wait. Paimon's completely lost now. So what was this assembly you
I'd be alright to leave the explanation of that to you.
This is not what I was expecting. I know a lot of Mondstadt events involving Klee, like I was mentioning, do lead to Alice. I just didn't think that was the case.
Let me tell you a long and ancient story.
And there are 4 sides to the lantern. Did that mean there were 4 members? Because we're only hearing Mona's master and Alice.
As the spooky name
And there's 8
suggests,
people there.
it's a secret society.
Oh.
Once upon a time, it even challenged the Animo Archon himself.
Oh.
But he replied, "Let us make music, not war, and resolve our conflicts through song."
That sounds about right.
From then on, the mages would only ever convene in the woods, in the skies, or on the edges of cliffs. At these tea parties, they discussed their stories and secrets and resolved their differences, as the tea and cakes bore witness to their pledge never to fight amongst themselves.
Yesterday, I snuffed out the life of my beloved. He had grown old and was extremely sick.
Oh.
He loved me dearly, so I took his fate in my hands and ended his pain.
I'm raising a son.
Oh.
Of all the children I had, he's the
It's
only
Albedo's
one.
master. That's crazy.
But I suppose that still makes me a mother.
That's wild. I didn't expect that.
My lifespan is nothing compared to yours, so I wish to leave you with my storybook. Actually, maybe you can pass it on to your children one day.
Oh, this looks interesting.
Moses master. Oh.
My dear sisters, we mustn't let prophecies threaten our bonds of friendship. Even the most frightening witch was once a little girl, and growing up can be so
Wait, there are
tough.
8 bubbles, but there's 7
Sometimes
chairs.
we all need to vent our troubles to the wind. Even if the nations go to war, or the sky falls down, the mages' tea parties shall forever be held around this table.
Interesting. Well, I'd wonder, so there were 7 chairs, which, even though there were 8 bubbles of people, which makes me almost wonder if it was,
So this is where the legendary mages held their meeting.
But it makes me wonder at first if there was like 1 per nation, but why there were 8. Again, 8 bubbles. I keep repeating that, I guess. But what's interesting too is it might not have been, they talk about the nations going to war, but then like we know primarily do know Alice from Mondstadt, but she always talks about how they decided Mondstadt was the best place for Klee to be raised, which suggests they're not actually from Mondstadt in general. And Albedo's master also appears to be from Mondstadt. That's really cool. It's like a teaser of some characters that we've met before, haven't heard before, that type of thing. The other interesting thing here, too, is you can interpret Venti kind of redirecting their challenge to let's just make music and stuff in a number of ways. But knowing Venti, you know, despite the fact that, like, people always argue about, like, I do believe, I am of the thought that, like, he let Signor take his Gnosis, and that if he wanted to, you know, take her down, he could have way back when. Even if he is weaker with the passage of time. But, that makes me feel like, in my opinion, does that mean that Venti was stronger than the entire, like, mage society here was? Was he trying, you know, you could also take that as he was trying to be adverse to a fight because he didn't know if he'd win. But we've talked up Alice for so long in the community about being this super, super powerful character. But it almost just makes you wonder how her power scaling will actually end up fitting into things. Just a thought.
That's right. We often met here to chat and have tea.
Then, what about the part saying that if we light the lantern of utmost joy, we'd receive a supreme blessing?
About that. I never expected anyone other than Jay to actually read the full contents of that prophecy. It's a little embarrassing. The truth is, that prophecy was actually just a letter that we sent to Jay as a group the day before her wedding.
Oh.
So it was indeed written by all of you.
So is Jade the one that snuffed out the life of her husband?
Thank you for resisting.
Or is it the one that had like a lifespan that wasn't as
To
long?
everybody, Albedo. Knowing you probably figured out everything the moment you laid eyes on the message.
He did do that with Golden Apple
It took me a little
Archipelago.
longer than that.
Who knows?
A flower that is not of this world, a guide who will never get lost, one who would never lie, and a legend that never ends. These 4 descriptions signify 4 individual mages. When a member of the organization had to leave the group to spend the rest of her days with her beloved, the other mages would write down this prophecy and send it to her to invite her for a final get-together. A flower that is not of this world signifies, of course, flowers that do not naturally exist in this world.
Oh, okay.
This is the signature of our full name, Rhine-daughter, also known as Gold. If there's anyone in this world who could create a flower species that does not yet exist, it would be her.
Interesting.
The guide who will never get lost is N, otherwise known as Nicole. You may not have encountered her yet, but she is a truly extraordinary woman who has made this world's
That hints that we'll
direction
probably
and
meet her in
order
the next few
her
nations.
subject of study. Some of you may be fortunate enough to have already heard her voice. Like a prophetess, she will only speak to guide people toward the truth when a change has occurred in the world. She has a tendency to suddenly speak in someone's mind without any warning. If one day you would be unfortunate enough to run into a truly
That would be
dangerous
something.
situation, she may use her voice to guide the way forward for you.
Who would have guessed that there are so many mysterious women in this world and that they would all know each other?
The one who would never lie is me. I hope no one would take offense. It's just that I, Alice, or A for short, have always had a soft
Interesting.
spot for those with sincerity and candor. As for a legend that never ends, you may not know M in person,
Boar Princess.
but you've likely encountered
Wasn't that
her
one of
more
Kale's
once.
favorite books?
Have any of you ever read The Boar Princess?
Huh? I'm pretty sure every child in Mondstadt has read that book.
It's also one of my favorite stories.
Okay.
Em was an exceptional human writer who used her prose to teach me the meaning of grief. Don't you think such a person would deserve a seat at the mage's table?
That's interesting.
Getting more and more
So they didn't even necessarily have to be like wizards in
May
a
sound
sense.
hard to believe, but
Like magic
I can
users.
attest to everything that Alice has said. Jay was also a
Although maybe
mortal
I'm wrong on
aged
that.
and passed on, leaving her title to her students and
Oh, okay.
followers. Alice,
That was the case. I did assume at that point that Jay had probably passed.
any of Jay's successors. It's now been centuries since the first of us took on her mantle.
Oh.
I've always wanted to meet you.
Do you also want to become a mage?
Title aside, I think I'm more interested in the meaning and purpose of the Hexen Circle. I used to think that the Hexen Circle was a group of women who could control the very fate of this world. But now, I've seen.
Well,
for
some of them
myself
seem to
that
be
besides
insanely
Jay,
powerful.
Many other ordinary people were also among you.
Do you think less of us now?
No, not at all. My interest has been piqued, and I'm now even more drawn towards the idea of becoming a mage.
You're right. I've never acknowledged any of Jay's successors, but
Oh.
you are different.
Well, it's a compliment
More
to
fascinating
to
than
her
any of your
and
predecessors.
bit of a backhand to everyone else over the past couple
Someone
centuries.
finally piqued Aunt Alice's interest?
Now is not a good time, Scarlet, but as soon as I am able, I will seek you out for a meeting. I want you to tell me all about Jay's married life back in her hometown.
So the mage who received the prophecy letter from all of you was Jay? She left the Hexen Circle after getting married?
Precisely. There was only one way the letter could have been interpreted. She would have known what we meant as soon as she saw the message. We were just asking one thing of her.
One last time to say
Please
goodbye.
come to see us again. Before you go and settle forever with your happiness, please come share some of it with your best friends and sisters.
So, the Supreme Blessing actually meant...
All journeys are fleeting and will eventually come to an end. What will give us the most fulfillment and happiness in the end are those who will greet us at our journey's destination. Dear child, I believe you can also understand what I am talking about. We women will always have many troubles and encounter pains and frustrations that will keep us up at night. But no matter how hard things may become, we will cross mountains and oceans to see our best friends
I kind of
again.
like how this ended up being tied into
Regardless
Kala,
of
even if
how
it
many
wasn't
years have
originally meant for
passed, or
her,
how far the distance
in a
may
sense.
be. As long as we can be with our beloved friends, our hearts will be filled
Yeah,
with
Alice
joy.
is a crazy character though.
To
You'd
us
assume she'd be
mages,
playable at some point, but she seems almost omniscient,
supremely blessed
which is crazy.
is all about.
Oh.
Like almost to the point that she feels like a plot device character in some of these times.
All the mages are Mom's best friends.
Well, I knew Alice
If you
was
ask
connected
how
to
I see
Mona's
it,
teacher from
the
way back
Hexen
when.
Circle is just a group of ladies that I spent my youth with. Anyway, I'll introduce some of the other members to you all later.
You should introduce yourself to us.
To attend to, so this will have to do. For
Most of
today.
us here have never seen you in person.
Todoko says bye too.
Goodbye, darling, and farewell to all of our other friends as well. I'm sure we'll see each other again.
Although it's implied she sneaks back to Mondstadt pretty often.
Isn't it getting close to that time of year?
Yes, it's Windblume again, Alice.
It's also a special anniversary date.
It's interesting that the only two other mages that seem to have responded to this lantern are Mona's teacher and Alice. And Mona's teacher hasn't been chewing her out.
Many years ago, that Jay tied the knot.
Oh, okay.
Just in time for the Festival of Love and Freedom.
Be a good time to get married.
Please enjoy this year's Windblume Festival to the fullest.
Except for Timaeus, because he doesn't have a glider.
Ah,
Yeah.
Albedo, why didn't you tell me we'd have to glide all the way back down?
What did you think we were gonna do? I've always wondered though, like, if Genshin was like an actual, like, they're making a Genshin anime, is the Traveler still canonically able to use the teleport waypoints? And that's not just like a game device? Or would they actually have to travel? Because they had to travel to Inazuma, for example, on Beto's ship over the course of a couple months. 2-3 months, I think it was said. But we never hear about a journey back from Inazuma every time we go there, you know? I've always wondered. I'm sure the anime will answer something like that. Although I'd assume the first season, if it even completes Mondstadt's arc, would be Mondstadt's arc.
Are you okay, Timaeus? Maybe you'd feel better if you just, you know, let it out.
I'm fine, I'm fine. I'm just a little glider sick, that's all.
I think it'd be awesome to do wind
You
gliding.
may want to look into getting your own gliding license when you have the time. It might prove helpful to you.
Okay. Sure thing.
It sounds like you've still got something on your mind. Why don't you tell us? We're all happy to listen.
It's nothing, really. It's just, well, Alice's story was really interesting and romantic. I won't argue about that. But still, the whole thing wasn't quite what I was hoping for.
Would you think you're just gonna get told you're a beacon of truth?
I didn't actually expect the supreme blessing to be real, but...
Don't say that. None of this was your fault, Timaeus. Honestly, it's more on me for having agreed to be the Windblume Festival special
Which is had such a happy
Had I not asked
experience,
for
but I
everyone's
gotta...
help.
Aw.
If anything, it should be my fault for finding that prophecy.
Oh, no, I didn't mean to blame the two of you
Yeah, I was
either.
gonna say, it's not really...
I just feel like this whole adventure didn't really end on a high note, and we
Really?
also didn't really...
I think as a player, it ended on a pretty high note, getting to see all these new characters,
Still
but...
learned something new.
Well, that aside, Timaeus, you still need to go to Liyue to apologize to Yinger, right? Do you want Kale and I to accompany you?
Oh, Miss Yingar. Well, I mean, I just really don't want her to get mad at me.
If those
Now
two
that
go
I've
with them,
come
they'll
back to my
explain.
senses,
Because him just
I really
telling her
don't know
this
what
story
I
might
should
sound
do.
like a elaborate excuse, but...
You three? You may
Oh, unless
want
she
to
did come to
look over
Mondstadt.
there.
Oh, that's actually really wholesome. It is the perfume lady, though. I was wondering that.
Miss Yingar?
Oh, so that's Miss Yinger? I've never met her before.
You know, all things aside, memes aside, it was really wholesome that Timaeus came to, like... He put aside his own
I am so
wanting,
sorry, Miss
like,
Yingar.
plans
But how did you...
to help these people.
Are you so happy just to see me?
Of course I am. I'm so happy that, I don't, sorry, I don't know what to say.
I was ready to give you a harsh scolding, but now that I've seen you like this,
Jeez.
I suppose I could let you off the hook this time. You said you couldn't come to pick me up because of a very important matter, right?
That's part of relationships.
Of
Give and
course,
take.
I had to come and find you instead.
Should we go see how they're doing?
Are we really gonna go butt in on his? Yeah.
You'll get hit by a forest boar if you interrupt a couple's romantic conversation.
Oh, really? We'll just leave them alone then.
I am so glad to see Timaeus find his happiness.
Likely by Albedo.
I have
Love
to
how
say,
Rosario just disappeared too as soon as the island ended.
You can be happy just to see others happy. And you gave me so much help without any expectations in return. Even though you said that we're very much alike, I still feel like you have a much bigger heart than I do.
Oh, you also just said you want to.
If you say that, then I'd say
Aw.
I'm also nowhere near as
It's nice that they
brave
can
or
complement
tenacious
each other
as you.
too.
I guess we have
It's
the
not a
same amount of
competition,
positive
you know?
qualities. They're
It's about
just
raising each other up.
spread over different parts of our personalities. I've never visited Sumeru, or made many friends from outside of Mondstadt. I'm happy just to have met and become your friend. Maybe I'll get shy and flustered when I meet other people I don't know in the future.
Yeah, that's fine.
But that's okay
A lot of people
too.
are only like a little bit more
Since we are
emboldened
so
around
alike,
people they know well.
You probably get what I'm trying to say. You just need to believe that all of your issues aren't really issues at all. But isn't it too late now for me to learn to accept myself?
No.
Well... Do you know anything about the blooming cycles of Cecilius? I may have read about that in a book before. That's a topic that my parents used to talk about back when they were still dating. Surprising, right? To think that people would talk about that while on a date. My mom brought it up at dinner one time last month. She called my dad the most boring man she knew, and said that he even turned up late to a date once. All with a smile on her face. But she also said that learning is just another part of life. It's never too late to start something, as long as you recognize that it's something good for you to do. Why don't you give it a try, Kale?
And in a strange way, sorry, I know I like to stop story in Genshin a lot and talk about like random things, but in a strange way, this is similar to the reason I started streaming. I never expected, nor have I become like a really big streamer, but for me it was something that I've hit a really rough point in my life, especially back when I started, and I wanted to do something that like I could just sit down and enjoy. And for me, that's what streaming's been. I really, really enjoy streaming. But I think it's important for people to recognize that like I think so often people try to measure things by like how successful they'll be. You know, like I found this a lot when I was teaching people instruments. And a lot of people didn't take me seriously. Because like I remember back in high school, right? I tried to teach someone like their second, third, first instrument, and they'd be like, "Oh, well, it's easy for you to say like you can just do this," because I knew how to play so many instruments. But I would just honestly tell them like, if you enjoy playing music, you shouldn't compare yourself to other people. I said this a lot with singing too. I'd help people with that. And everyone would always say, "Oh, I don't have a good voice," or "Oh, I don't think I'll be successful with it." It's not about that. You know, there was a point in my life where I thought it'd be really cool to become a professional singer, but it's difficult to make a living out of that. But for me, it's not about, you know, how successful I am. If I really sit down and I enjoy making like a cover or just singing it myself, that's all that's important. So, just another example of Genshin, like, and again, it might just be me overanalyzing, reading too deep into stuff like this, but I think it's another example of them taking very real thoughts and good lessons and putting into a game. And a lot of games do this, surprisingly. You just kind of have to look past sometimes like the more superficial aspects, I guess.
They're really having a great conversation. Paimon can't even find a moment to join in.
I nearly forgot. This is for you. This texture.
Okay.
Are these seeds? Yep. I believe I mentioned my sweet flower research to you before. These are the seeds of the sweet flower cultivars that I've worked on.
Interesting.
It's nothing too special, but they're the best cultivars that I've made. So, I really hope that you'll like them.
That's really kind.
They're super sweet and easy to grow and keep.
And she's you know, the apprentice of
them as my Windblooms for this year.
a botanist, I think it was said Tynar was. He's very familiar with plants.
I wish that the animal Archon could also see how lovely they are.
I'm sure he will.
I'll
Just a
plant
thought.
them in the Avidia forest and take good care of them.
Kale, please take these notes with you. I've heard that you've been working hard on your studies, so I've prepared
okay.
some study materials for you at Sucrose's request. Feel free to look through them whenever you can find the time. Mondstadt's doors will always remain open to you.
Thank you so much. Really, I don't know what to say. I'm just really happy.
Ah, Sucrose, now's your chance. Didn't you want to collect a breath of joy?
What? I don't recall this.
You're right. I almost forgot. Kale, can you exhale once into this test tube? I will save this breath of joy and use it in my research.
Oh, really? May I?
Of
Huh.
course.
I don't recall them. It turned purple. Is that a good thing? Okay.
Huh?
I guess that means it probably worked.
What? What was that?
It was like a little cloud of happiness, but now it flew away.
Well, luckily, there's still some breath left in the test tube. I'll seal it up for
It's
now.
almost like it's an open
I'll
container.
keep working on it and let you know as soon as I have any breakthroughs in my research.
Yeah, you can write to me. I'll be sure to respond as soon as I receive your letter.
Oh, it looks like you found a new pen pal.
Master Tainari! Sino!
Did you
Your
get your
friendship
card
was
backs?
forged in a test tube. Test friends for.
That's it. Think you've ruined Sumeru's reputation in Mondstadt beyond all hope of repair.
Come
What
on.
matters is that I've enjoyed Mondstadt
Yeah.
immensely. The dragon here possesses a majestic form.
Oh, that reminds me.
Oh my gosh.
Traveler, this card back.
Oh, do we
is
actually get
for
our
you.
own TCG card back?
Sino wanted you to have one for yourself. If I had to guess, I'd say he probably wants you to use it if you challenge him
I
to
have,
a duel.
actually.
I'm a master of the game. Do you dare challenge me?
Can you believe this guy? Huh. Let's knock him off his high horse.
Oh, do we actually just do a Genshin TCG game? That'd be hilarious.
Give you too.
Especially if people hadn't played TCG and they did this event and they're just like, what?
Yeah, I figured I should follow local Mondstadt customs and prepared a few small things themed after the Windblume festival.
It did say she was preparing gifts. Oh, that's cute.
I made these bookmarks from Sumeru roses at the hotel. I want to give them to Amber, Master Tainari, and Sino. During Windblume, Mondstadters offer flowers to the people most important to them. You three are family to me.
But
wholesome.
Tainari said that we're not anything like an academic family. He wouldn't like to write papers with us.
Well, in this case, we can consider ourselves as regular siblings. And that should be just fine.
I agree.
Oh my gosh.
And here are some Padisaris
Oh,
seeds
good
as
old
well.
Sino.
These are for the Traveler, Paimon, and everyone else from Mondstadt.
Whoa, are these really for us?
You won't even write an academic paper with us. Wow, Tynar. It's not like I've been harassing you with great puns, by the way. All trip. That's so funny.
So, are these your chosen Windblooms?
One of them. Both Padisaris and Sumeru roses are my Windblooms.
Mm.
Although they're not native to Mondstadt, they are the flowers that can best express my feelings.
Probably the ones they know the
I want
best.
to give them to the people I feel thankful for. To those who I wish to accompany as we greet more seasons and future Windblooms
And in
together.
a sense, it's a rare flower for
Real
people in
blessing
Mondstadt.
life is when you are surrounded
Even
by
if they're
people who you'd miss
everywhere.
day and night, and who you'd want to see even if that meant crossing mountains and oceans to do so.
It's always crazy to me, like, oh,
I'm so happy to hear you say that.
it's just kind of funny. I always have this thought when I see, like, the memes about Eula or Kali being jealous about the friendship with Amber. Because the first thing I just see when I look at the three of them side by side is blue, red, green. Like the Pokemon starters. I haven't even played a Pokemon game. I've thought about it, actually. I keep hearing from my friends. I have friends that are still into it. I haven't played one since I was like 14, 15. I enjoyed them. I just kind of fell off from the series. But I've heard they changed it into more of like a free roam game. So I've thought about picking one up. It hit a point for me where, like, the last one, I can't remember if Black and White came out after, or if it was X and Y, because I played X and I played White. But it hit a point with, like, you got Mega Evolutions, you got, like, their Gigantamax, I think they were called and stuff, and I was like, I just feel so overwhelmed, in a sense. But maybe that was just me.
Sucrose, do you see that cloud over there?
Are they going to compare clouds again?
Doesn't it look just like your test tube?
She gonna disagree? And that was really wholesome. That was a really wholesome quest. I really enjoyed that. I will say, I just didn't expect it to tie back into Alice, like I was saying. We got to see potential thoughts about, like... So based on my understanding, it felt like the 4 that they kind of introduced into that... Like, it seems like there were quite a few members of Alice's, like, society. But the 4 distinctly that they mentioned were maybe 4 of the ones that had been around the longest, maybe founding members, or ones that had unnaturally long lifespans, since it does seem like Alice at the very least, and potentially Mona's teacher, do. I'm a little disappointed we didn't get more of, like, an interaction from Mona's teacher. I'm sure maybe they'll save that for, like, an event or a quest more themed around her. But I've always been curious. But it was kind of good in a way because she didn't, like, chew her out. Like, in a wholesome way, it means maybe she's not mad at her. And she probably does already know that. I mean, Mona didn't return because she was so terrified that she found her master's diary that she was going to be mad. Stuff like that, but that was really, really cool. Oh, and it looks like they gave us a little token, and we did get a Genshin card back. I'm by no means good at this game. It's like Magic the Gathering to me. Obviously a very different style of game, but like, I enjoy the game, but I'm not good at it. Like, I've usually just make my own decks. What I've been doing is I've been throwing together usually, like, I feel like Swirl is really, really powerful in this game mode. I know I did, like, my first impression stream on it. But, like, this I don't think is a very good deck. But, like, I was trying to level up these two. Because you get, like, an extra card when you level a character up to 10. So, generally speaking, once a character gets to 10, I'll do, like, a pairing of an element with, like, Jean or Sucrose. This is a bad example. This is also a bad example. But usually I do, like, 2, because then you can put in the cards, like, because when you have 2 of the same element, at least, you can put in the cards that just give you free dice of that element and such. But I actually really do enjoy the mode. I think it was a good addition. I think a lot of people are like, seems a bit strange when they added it to the game. But I overall think it was a good addition. Anyway, I just figured we could end this stream off by doing some other stuff. I didn't do any more, actually, than beyond what I had saved past last stream. I think, well, maybe I did 1. I can't remember. Because I want to say we did the first 2 or 3 of each, of this one at least beforehand. We don't necessarily have to, I'm stuck on the wall. We don't necessarily have to do every single one. But I thought it'd be fun. Like the picture taking one, I think we might just skip on stream. I know people do really creative photos. Not just in this event, but like in general with screenshots and stuff. But this particular event has never been one that really appealed to me. But I really do enjoy these two, so I figured we'd do at least a couple of them. I don't know if you can change instrument or if it matters, because at the beginning of this, they asked us which instrument we wanted to play. But I have no idea. But I figured we could do the rest of these in maybe a couple stages of the slime balloon. So overall, it's still been a pretty short stream, comparatively. But we did these songs. You know what? No, I did do this one off stream. I like this song. I really like Eula. She's one of my most used characters. She's my most used main DPS. My most played character, according to like the whole thing that they do, is actually the Raiden Shogun, but I usually run Raiden Eula. It just, Raiden I think is a little bit more versatile than Eula is, and because my Eula isn't invested, like I've unironically spent about 6 months farming Tenacity Domain, and I still can't replace her artifacts. It's actually really sad. But I think I talked about this last time when we played the first part of this. I've never been good at Osu light games. You hand me like a sheet of music and I'll be able to play it, most likely. I'm out of practice now, but you know, back in the day. I tried playing Osu once and I failed miserably. Guess it goes to show again that everyone has things they're good at. The people who are super good at Osu, it blows my mind. One of my friends was actually showing me like a, I don't know if it was Osu specifically, but like a PvP beat map game, a couple of them actually, and it's crazy to me. Because you have to consider a lot of these ones, it's like the most random thing, it's not something they've seen before. Because that's one thing in music, is like sight reading is important, but a lot of times in music you get the opportunity to practice, whether it's vocals, whether it's anything else. Whereas like a lot of people that play games like Osu just look at it and they just go with it. Just kind of crazy stuff. This one, the one problem I always have with this particular one though is just depth perception. I don't know if it's just me, but looking at this, I always feel like it's gonna go to a different spot, and then it's like last second I realize, oh, that's going towards J, not K, or something like that, you know? I've also seen people making like insane beat maps for this game. Kind of crazy stuff. One thing I always feel like I try to recognize, and I think it's important too, is like the music in games is insane. Yeah, like Arknights is another really good example. Arknights' soundtrack blows my mind. Which, by the way, they finally, I don't know how soon it'll be, but they finally announced that they're going to do the Dorothy event. That's actually the best one I've done so far, while I was rambling the entire time. I think every other one's been around 96%. But, yeah, just interesting stuff. But, the Dorothy event in Arknights was supposed to come, according to the Chinese, like, because you usually follow the Chinese server about 6 months behind. Okay, I'm just gonna restart that real quick. That was the depth issue I was talking about. I thought that was going to the other button. But, generally speaking, it's similar like FGO, but FGO is like 2 years behind. The global server generally follows behind. This one already isn't going well for me. The global server for Arknights generally is like 6 months behind. I know FGO is like 2 years behind. So everyone was, like, it's been a meme in the community for the past couple months, like, where is the Dorothy event? Comes with, like, I think the Grey Altar too. But once we do our next Arknight stream, because I might do another couple IS2 streams, because I really enjoy that mode, I might go over some of my polling plans for the next couple months. Because I've mentioned in Genshin for some time right now, unless something changes, I'm only planning on rolling on Song of Broken Pines for the foreseeable future. And Arknights, despite how much... Like, I'll do, like, the monthly pass and the monthly stuff. I usually... I don't roll on standard banners anymore. So I really do just save all my wishes for, like, the special banners. Anyway. Was it the end of the song? Didn't feel like I did that one. 96, really? They're very forgiving. I messed the beginning of that song up pretty bad. That was a catchy song. Wending through Vidya, huh? Guess I could have changed the character that I was playing to. I like Elon. I do think it's kind of funny though that people always used to make fun of Xingqiu's haircut. And then Yelan came out with his haircut. And everyone really, really likes her. Huh. Did it just zoom out? I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I just realized, because I've been so focused on the song, there's a timer at the top that tells you how long the song is. That little yellow bar. I know though. Overall though, I will say my favorite character is still Yae Miko. We'll see. We talk about like the relation to Honkai characters, and I really like Yae Sakura. I also really liked Himeko, but I like Senti from that game. For sure, Sentience. Not Sentience, is it Sentience? I talk about liking character and I can't remember. Pretty sure it's Sentience. The Fahua Harsher version that wasn't really... It's complicated, but... Now it's gonna bother me. No, yeah, it is Sentience. For some reason I was thinking, I was like, wait a second, is the Hersher Sentience the Baronia Hersher? I'm not good with... I've mentioned this before. I'm really good once I match like a picture to a name, but before then I have a terrible time with it. But, I like Senti a lot. She's probably my favorite character, then it's Yai Sakura. I really liked Himeko, and I really liked, Durandal as well. So I'm really excited. I can't remember, I think I've heard that it was like the old Archon is based off, for Fontaine is supposed to be based off, Sella. It's interesting because it's like a dual Archon thing, but less in the sense of what we've gotten where like, we had, in both the other cases so far, right? Zhongli and Venti are the only Geo Archons or Animal Archons that have pretty much existed, since they're the two that have existed since the Archon War. But then the other two we've met, right? A is not the original Electro Archon, but her sister Makoto passed away. And kind of on the same vein, Greater Lord Ruka Devada was the original Sumeru Archon, but that's a bit of a different story, and for all intents and purposes... Oops. It's always embarrassing when you miss the really long notes and you just have to sit there with your failure. Anyway, but the Greater Lord no longer exists, right? In this case, it seems like, since they're both supposedly going to be playable, it's an older Archon that's... Oh my goodness. It's an older Archon that's still, you know, is around. Which is, like, pretty new. Because it's not like we haven't... Kind of, I mean, there's the scene where Makoto says goodbye to A, but that's not really... It's like a memory preserved, in a sense. Same thing with, like, Ruka Devada, but that was not... They do it very differently, is what I'm getting at. But ultimately, I think this first time there's like, yeah, this is the previous Archon. And they're just gonna be there. So, cool stuff. Alright, that's the last of the songs we have. And then, oh yeah, we have the pass. I don't think I've gotten the pass yet. Usually in Genshin, I do the, monthly... I think monthly passes, they're kind of made to draw you in, but, like, I usually do the monthly pass, and then I do the battle pass. I don't know if I'll do the battle pass, though, this time. I have enough saved, actually, just enough that I should be able to guarantee Song of Broken Pines. But if I have to go to the third pity with both, like, tokens with the system they do... Because I haven't actually... I was only going to do one banner pull on Aqua Simulacra. Did my game just crash? Oh no, it just tapped me out. I just got lucky, though. Because I hadn't actually pulled on a weapon banner in a long time. I'm trying to remember what the last one was. Because the weapons I know I pulled on, some of them have come from Standard Banner. I know both copies of Atlas I have actually came from Standard Banner. I obviously pulled on this banner. I think Engulfing was... I think this was on another banner. I can't remember which one. Hold on this and this. I want to say Moonglow and Jade Cutter I got off the same banner. But I know I got this off of another banner. Amos Bow I think I got off Standard, actually. I'm just thinking about like how many actual weapon banners I pulled on. Because comparatively the number of like character banners I pulled on, it's actually not been a lot. But we'll see. And who knows, maybe like the Kave or whatnot kits will really pull me in. Like the Wanderer kit was unique enough that I did do one soft pity on it, but I lost 50-50. And because I had in mind other things I was saving for, I didn't go for the guarantee. But we'll see. Usually I also pull on characters and then go for cons later if I really, really like them. Like, for example, I thought I was going to play Shenhe a lot. And I've almost never played her. I don't really regret pulling for any character. I think it's nice to just have them. I'm more of a collector for games like this in Arknights anyways. Which doesn't end well for spending habits when I do have disposable income, but I digress. But I really do like the design of Shenhe. But it's like kind of the same thing with like Ayaka and Ganyu are another good examples of characters I thought I'd play a lot. Tartaglia is the only character that I've ever accidentally pulled. Like every other character I've intentionally pulled. And there's other characters who, like, I thought Zhongli is very nice. But I thought I'd use him a lot more than I did. I do use Kazuo quite a bit. But ultimately, I'm just the type of person that gets rooted in his ways. I almost always am using these three in the overworld with one other sub DPS, and lately it's been Yelan. Let's, since we're not gonna do the picture thing, I think, on stream. I just don't think it's gonna... Like, I'm not creative enough to do crazy, like, picture-taking stuff. In fact, we might only do one or two of these, because they're often very similar. I probably should have read that. I looked at that picture for like 1 second, my brain went, cool, and then I clicked on it. Because that's why I didn't stop to read, so I didn't realize when you had the ability you could just run through the balloons. And that's how I ended up sprinting into the balloon a couple, the slime balloons in this event a couple times. Anyway. I know this event you don't actually have to go... Goodbye, balloon. You don't actually have to collect every single balloon. I often have just because... sanity. But... you definitely do not have to. Go away, slime balloon. Stop that. Yeah, see, like, it already unlocks next area. I think if you literally just collect the bare minimum to get to the following area, it probably does work. I could be wrong. Those orange balloons, too, in previous ones unlocked more balloons, and it doesn't seem to be the case here. They're also very generous with the time and lives. Like, for there not being, like, another difficulty, I can't really imagine you dying. Oh, you can move the bookcase. That's what it was probably talking about then. Interesting. I feel like these little minigames I find fun. For sure. I just don't, like... Kind of like I was mentioning, if I didn't do every single one, I wouldn't be too sad about it, you know? Oh. There's the Ring of Pursuit. Missing 3 balloons. Where am I missing one singular balloon? Oh, is it that one? There we go. Look at that. Yeah, nothing too difficult. I always wonder, though, like, again, with these types of things, how much harder it is to play on mobile. So I remember the first Wind Trace. I think I mentioned this. I was having internet problems way back when. Before I switched to my new provider, which has been pretty good. My old internet company would go out probably at least once or twice a week. And before that, when we like upgraded our plan with that company, it would go out once or twice a day, and it was super frustrating. My new company I got around October, and I think it's gone out twice since then, which is, you can't really avoid it. It will go, you know, internet happens. It's part of life. Doesn't make it any less frustrating for sure, but generally speaking, it's pretty good. Anyway, let's do... Oh, okay. Yeah, we could do the last 3 here. It's interesting that you can match with people on these. Oh, and I kind of lost my train of thought, but I did the first Wind Trace. Dargan State, Light Sword, okay. But the first Wind Trace I did on mobile, and it was so much harder than on PC. I really enjoy Wind Trace, though. Next time it comes around, I'll probably do another entire stream on it. The only frustrating part is that there's definite lag. Which is something unavoidable when you're playing any online game. I still just remember, though, there was like that one time with the Wanderer. Because I think Wanderer was the most recent character prior to the last Wind Trace, if I remember correctly. But I remember I wasn't, like, tilted or anything, but I was annoyed. Because I lost that match. The only person I caught was the Wanderer. Because I was, like, the Favor appeared, right? And I was way closer to the Favor than Wanderer was. And then I just see Wanderer skip across the screen. Like, just straight up, like, lag an entire screen and a half, pick up the Favor, and then I stood on him for, like, it was like a solid 10-20 seconds, spamming the button on him to capture, and it wouldn't capture him. But, that being said, though, it's one of those, like, I still think everyone should get to enjoy the game. If everyone there had fun, and everyone seemed like they did. That's what's important. It's not like it's a competitive game mode, and it's part of the reason why I stray away from competitive game modes in games nowadays, because I feel like people then use that as a reason to be really mean to each other. And I get it, it's frustrating. Like, I used to do climbs in, like, Overwatch and stuff. It always stank when someone was just having, like, not a good game, but everyone does. You know? So, that's why. We did play comp Overwatch, I guess, on stream as well, but I just genuinely think it's more important when you're gaming to have fun, because a fraction of a percent of people are actually going to make it, like, their career, right? But I don't know. Sorry, not a random tangents I go off. It's like, it's part of the reason why streaming is relaxing to me is I'll go, I'll go off on like random talks like this with my friends. And they're usually, like, they're kind about it, but like, I know like my parents have said too, it gets exhausting sometimes. But part of what makes streaming fun for me is you kind of can just talk. Anyway, oh, I'm gonna get caught again. I'm so sorry. I know that you can see up in this map over here exactly where those balloons are. I'm gonna be honest, I'm just looking at my screen. Awkward. Who's the Ring of Pursuit? Yeah, I really don't... I think there is like a threshold for how many balloons you need to get like the maximum rewards. But you definitely do not... Oh, you definitely do not need to get every single... Oh my goodness. You definitely do not need to get every single one, though. And that's part of what I like about it, too, is they always make... Like, I've had friends that have left Genshin, like, they always used to meme about these type of events. They're like, oh man, I can get, like, 5 wishes from this 2-week-long event. But they at least make it, like, it's just completed. You don't have to get a high score. They generally make them accessible, and then... Unless you're very, very new to the game, usually you can still access events. And that's what's partly, I think, good about going back to previous regions, is if you were someone who had just started playing the game, I think you could probably do Windblume. Maybe. It might not because you haven't met, like, Kale and stuff in this story, but most of the time they're pretty good about making at least some of the events accessible to completely new players, and they're not always just in the newest area, you know? I'd have to make a completely new account, I guess, to make, like, 100% see it, the experience, I suppose. But they're pretty good, in my opinion, about making sure that, like, not everything happens of note in an area that you can't reach. One thing that is a bit bad, I know, is if you join the game because of character you really, really like, you may not be able to ascend that character past the first ascension because of the test run.
Take it easy.
But I don't really know if there's a good remedial fix to that. The only way I think they could, like, fix that, and I don't think it'd be the proper way to do it, to be... Oh, oops. The proper way to do it would be if, like, they made it so, for example, if you were trying to unlock Ascension for, say, Cyno, they just made it so that it only took, say, the Electro Hypostasis materials instead. And I don't actually think that's a good solution either. But that would be literally the only thing I could think. I'm gonna get caught again. That would be literally the only potential solution I could think of. Wow, this is not good. But I had a friend with that issue who, because I used to know like 5 or 6 people that played Genshin. Unfortunately, I'm the only one who still does. But one of them was super excited. He literally was like super hyped for the game. He played it for like 3 months, but I didn't even see that balloon. He bought a 10 pull, spent like 15 bucks, I think it was, and somehow got a Chi-Chi and a Raiden Shogun in his first 10 pull. He was super excited about the Shogun. He was like, wow, this is such a cool character. I mean, they advertised this game, the game on the Raiden Shogun for a long time, right? But he was super excited about the character. But then because of the test run, he could only ascend her to like level 40, I think it was, for a long time. And because of like the adventure level restrictions and some oh my goodness. I've been caught a lot this game. Because of things of like the adventure level restrictions, he was never, like, he got to a point where he very quickly couldn't, it wasn't practical for him to play his favorite character. And I know that was a really big turnoff to the game for him. Because he did continue playing for a while. But I think he got to right up to Beto's ship, actually. Tragically. But even once you get to Inazuma, you can't get to that boss for some time. Like, it still does take a while. but it's part of the game. I think every game has... I am just getting caught left and right here. I think almost every game has restrictions like that the longer they go. At least gacha games. Just the nature of games, I think, that need materials. Let's try and get rid of some of these balloons. I have no idea if the balloons respawn. That would definitely make life a little bit more annoying. Something just dropped there? Oh. Maybe that was the balloon respawning. I am missing one balloon. Is it? It might be the orange balloon from way back when, so I'm just gonna leave it. Interesting. That's Floral Pursuit Gun. I gotta say, I always appreciate that they leave so much time. I know for some people it seems an excessive amount of time when you can just sit down and play. But they leave you plenty of time usually to finish these events. And like when they did the whole new big areas, they'd give you like a month. Super cool stuff. It just really goes to show that like even if the formula, like this exact menu formula and stuff is very similar across events, they do a very good job at really making really in-depth events and stuff that you would never see again. It's not something that like is gonna stay in the game forever, and even a new player 2 years in the future could play. There will be another Windblume, I'm sure, but interesting stuff. But anyways, yeah, we probably won't do that picture thing on stream, so I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream there. I think some of my friends want to play some 7 Days to Die tonight, so we might do that. But anyways, thanks for everyone who stopped by as always, watch the VOD or anything. I'm still trying to figure out like a good streaming schedule. Now that until I get back into either school, I'm looking at something that might be an option here. I'm still trying to figure life out, but my health is getting better, thankfully. For the beginning part of this week, I actually didn't feel so good. Monday, Tuesday. But I'm still taking that inhaler. My breathing issues are getting a lot better. It was just one of those... it was good to find out when we did. But it's never good to be, like, straight up allergic to something in your workplace to the point that you have to leave, like, instantly. But anyways, guys, I'll catch you next time. The next stream will probably either be... It could be something random. I think it'll probably be Arknights. I'd like to do another IS2 stream or so before they add in the Dorothy event and stuff. But anyways...